Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Broccoli Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had RPG-type gamer quirk. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Izuku Midoriya LV0. 100 HP 100 MP. Stats. CR 14. Dex 14. Int 14. Vit 14. Agi 14. Ability, RP. Skills, none. Izuku sighed internally as he made his way through school to avoid his bullies. He knew he wasn't fast enough when he suddenly tripped on what appeared to be a foot sticking out. Katsuki Bakugo LV0. 100 HP 100 MP. Ability, Explosion. Skills, none. Looking up, he was faced with his main tormentor Bakugo Katsuki, a blonde-haired male with red eyes and an explosive personality. He knew his former friend since they were babies. Deku, think you can avoid me, you a-hole. In the corner of his view, his minimap showed a red dot, meaning his tormentor was now shown. Thanks a lot, Quirk. He hated how after 100 meters the red dot reset his aggressor's position to green, blending in with all the other green dots on his minimap. No, of course not, Kaken, I was just heading to class. Izuku explained, now terrified of his former friend. Listen and listen good, Deku, I want you to shut up in class or some extra will get hurt. Katsuki threatened, knowing Izuku will show up if others are in danger. Yes, Kaken, Izuku yelped, nodding quickly. Good, and whoops, Katsuki abruptly dropped his drink he was holding. It spilled all over his school uniform shirt, making it stain with presumably coke. -1 DMG, 99 horsepower. Izuku was left alone as he quickly made his way into the stalls and swiped his hand in a downward direction when a menu popped up for him. His menu looked pretty straightforward with everything slightly understandable. Menu. Character items. Settings. Stats, inventory, UI. Skills, cache, chat. Armor, production, sound. Izuku immediately pressed the inventory selection and scrolled through his items as he summoned his spare school uniform. Yes, he went through the menu every time, but it just didn't help when he had no instructions to know how to do half the stuff he needs to get. Quickly making his way out the door, he thought of benefits and downsides of how his quirk worked so far. The only benefit I ever had was sound, cache, and inventory. Basically, sound lets me adjust the hearing of everything around me, which isn't useful for heroics. Cache keeps track on my yen, which I'm glad I can summon anytime, but still not useful, and I still have to touch it to put it back into my menu. I think I saved up to 5,200 yen, so glad it accepts all currencies. Pressing the menu in the cause section, he was greeted with that same estimate. 5,231 cash. Inventory allows me to store items, but I have a limited number of items I am able to store. That number of inventory slots increase the more money I use in it. Basically, it's the only thing my quirk has that's been beneficial, since I doubt I have anything else to spend my money on. It's basically 10,000 cash a slot. Izuku looked at his slot number and seen he had 21 slots. Making his way inside his class, Izuku sat down and tapped the notebook from his inventory slow as he summoned his notebook, immediately writing about this morning's news on the water hose heroes, still thinking partially about his quirk. I can't mess with stats because I haven't leveled to LV1, all my skills are locked, presumably needing to level as well to even get a peek at it. Armor is useless because I don't have any, and clothes don't count. Production is showing me raw items stating I have none. Chat means I need to invite someone, but I don't know how to activate it. Name is pointless if I have to spend a mansion worth of cash on it. Izuku shook in anger, furiously scribbling in his notebook when the teacher finally called out starting class. Now, in your last year of middle school, it's important to start thinking of what you want to do in the future. I'm going to pass out your, oh, who am I kidding? You guys are all going for the hero course anyways. Cheers erupted throughout the classroom, quirks being shown by each student. Izuku frowned, sneakily concentrating on setting the sounds down to protect his ears temporarily. Yes, you all have such wonderful quirks. But remember, quirk usage is prohibited in school. Many groaned, but none but Izuku detected the lingering threat of Kaken about to make a scene. Hey teach, don't lump me in with the rest of these rejects. They and their lame quirks will probably barely make it as sidekicks for some busted D rankers, and that's if they're lucky. Katsuki cackled. Many in the class retaliated with jeers, knowing there was strength in numbers and Bakugo couldn't attack them all at once. Even though he was armed with the same knowledge, Midoriya decided not to say anything. "Oh, you're shooting for you, right, Bakugo?" the teacher asked as he now noticed the teacher's level LV2. Come to think of it, how come random people have levels? They don't seem to be stronger and many of the population is LV0. As Bakugo smirked, many outside voices passed through Midoriya's mind. Doesn't UA have a 0.2% acceptance rate? They're famous for pumping out top pro heroes. It's the top hero course in the country. Bakugo's going to try to go there. As the whispering continued, Katsuki's nearly predatory smirk widened and Izuku shrunk into his seat, trying not to draw attention. That's right, you extras. I aced the mock exams. I'm gonna be the only one from this crappy school to get in and leave you all behind. Bakugo exclaimed. The voices elevated in volume, many loud of murmurings to Midoriya's ears thanks to sound setting. Oh, Midoriya is trying for UA as well, isn't he? The teacher said nonchalantly. Well, if you too. The chatter halted for a second, before going on even louder with many voices mocking him. Izuku heard things like, seriously Deku, doesn't he have a strange quirk? I heard he can summon items, that's it, it's not very useful. That's actually pretty lame. Hey, I heard him muttering about his quirk, think it's a gaming quirk, a pretty shit one at that. Sounds like a better quirk for a loser, he is gonna fail. A hero needs to fight villains, he is a weakling. You can't get into UA with a quirk that you can't beat villains with. In his current position, Izuku was basically hiding underneath his desk. He was so low that he was practically beneath it. Katsuki had a tick mark on his head from his agitation. He got up and discharged an ignition point blank at the legs of Izuku's desk, effectively knocking the table, chair, and Izuku over. -4 DMG, 95 HP. Izuku, inching back on the ground and hitting his head into the wall behind him, was promptly forced to look up at Katsuki. -2 DMG, 93 HP. Shut up. Stupid nerd, you think you can get into UA with such a useless quirk? Well, maybe you screwed your HP around, like the idiot you are. The boy with the explosive quirk yelled. Izuku mentally exerted a deep breath. Actually, Kaken, I've been working on MI quirk and dash. Shut up, you annoying nerd. Kaken shouted, letting off a blast besides Deku to frighten him. I don't give a frick what you do, just don't try to challenge me. I'm not trying to challenge you, Kaken. The boy stated candidly. It's just, becoming a hero has been my dream since I was a little kid. He breathed. Another explosion to near him, causing some slight heat to give away. I don't give a crap about your dreams. Katsuki declared harshly. Katsuki leaned in closer menacingly and spoke. You'll always just be an insignificant pebble on my path to greatness. Remember that, and don't challenge me. And with that, Katsuki was done. He had been lucky the teacher didn't pay much attention to his students or didn't care for that matter. If so, Katsuki may have gotten in trouble for what had transpired, especially since he hurt a student with such a unique quirk. He strolled back to his desk and sat down without even a slap on the hand. FNG but whole of a teacher. By his latest year of middle school, Izuku was quite used to being used as Katsuki's punching bag. He honestly never figured out why Kaken was constantly beating him even though they were friends when they were little, but he wasn't very social, so what did he know about friendship? The one thing he could grasp was that getting kicked around was depressing. All he knew about were quirks and heroes with minor video game knowledge. He was going to be an excellent hero using his knowledge and his quirk, and he wasn't especially concerned with making friends. Over the years, he became used to everyone ignoring him anyway. He was the hero nerd that played his role as the school bully's punching bag. He had previously completed his Hero Notebook 12, but he possessed plenty of writing capacity in his newest volume. This was something that required resolution. So, he went over his information on the giant villain, Mount Lady, and Kamui Woods that he wrote that morning and began analyzing it, trying to recall the fight to the best of his ability of a video app. He didn't get to finish writing his observations down because someone with superior reflexes seized his book. Of effing course. What's that? His diary. A male follower of Bakugo suggested. Mocha Akshay LV0. 100 HP 100 MP. Abilities, long fingers. Skills, none. Bakugo held the composition book above his head and showed both his acquaintances the title of his journal, knocking two birds with one stone. Now, Midoriya couldn't reach his work. He was just desperately flailing his arms while they laughed. Hey, give it back. He would have used his quirk, but he couldn't put it back on his inventory unless he touched it. Hero analysis for the future number 13? That's so dumb. Bakugo's other male colleague delivered his input. Nerd. Bakugo scoffed. He then put his palm on Midoriya's shoulder and lit his arm aflame. Midoriya slammed his eyes shut and pressed his nails into his fist to try to distract himself from the pain. -9 DMG, 84 HP. Deku. Midoriya's eyes flickered open. Don't apply to UA. Bakugo increased the output of his explosions, maniac grin taking over his face. Midoriya trembled, out of apprehension, frustration, he didn't know, but he continued to shake. -12 DMG, 72 HP. Bakugo rambled on, hands still in a tight lock on Midoriya's shoulders. See, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I'm gonna be the only one to graduate from this crappy school to go to UA. So don't apply to UA, Deku. Izuku continued to quiver till he was practically vibrating. Out of alarm? Maybe. Anxiety? Possibly. Anger? Definitely. Katsuki advanced on Izuku's notebook and exploded it, then chucked it out the window. Izuku yelled in shock as it immediately was out of sight. Katsuki was about to leave when he finally spoke. I have some advice for you. Try taking a swan dive off the roof and hope for a better quirk in your next life. Katsuki declared sharply. And for a second, Izuku stopped. He simply just couldn't take Katsuki's last criticism. Rage. Izuku turned to glare and bark at Katsuki but was cut off when his tormentor rose his hands in dangerous sparks. Got something to say? Izuku, now back in fear, shook his head no. I really am pathetic, aren't I? Izuku thought as he saw Katsuki and his goons walk away. He didn't know how long it took to snap out of his mind, but it was enough time for him to subconsciously grab his notebook from the floor outside with his quirk and leave the school on his familiar route home, in a bit of a trance. Expressions of concern from a few citizens hadn't helped him ignoring his burn marks. He gazed forward with the same blank look. Just another day of hell, I guess. He would have been paying attention when he walked under the dark underpass. Normally, he would have heard the sewer cap pop off and the slime man sliding toward him. But Izuku still had his sound for outside distance turned low. A medium-sized body. A little on the average side, but I need to get away before he comes. The sludge villain grumbled. He pounced on the unsuspecting middle schooler, encircling and entrapping him. The boy's eyes widened, and he tried to scream. Unfortunately for him, the sludge villain started invading his mouth. The kid tried to scream again, but realizing it wasn't working, he tried a different approach. He closed his eyes, stopped breathing to not waste precious air as his HP ticked down. -3 DMG, -4 DMG, -5 DMG. Wow, thanks kid. You're my hero at least, the sludge villain exclaimed, aura menacing enough to know that he wasn't actually caring. Once he reached to 15 HP, he blacked out automatically, only seeing a silhouette of a man. Izuku was being repeatedly slapped in the face by All Might with a signed book next to him. Whatever stupor he had been in before immediately vanished, being replaced by admiration and excitement. -2 DMG 23 HP. Oh, I healed that much? Must have been out of it for 10 minutes. You okay, kid? Izuku's idol asked him. He got up, started nodding and tried to find words. Wow. All Might, it's really you. Was all Midoriya could manage. He was completely overwhelmed. I can't believe the All Might saved me. Correct, young citizen. It is I, All Might. And I have just saved you. All Might flexed, showing off. Izuku had sparkles in his eyes, was about to ask for an autograph and saw he already had one. He already signed. He stood there reeling as All Might was readying his jump. Thanks for assisting me with the capture, kid. But a hero's work is never done, so off to the station I go. That's when it hit Izuku. He can't go. I have so much to ask him. He concentrated on All Might's pant leg, grabbing it as he was now flying through the air, and All Might yelled at him while his eyelids had to be forcibly closed from embarrassment. As both men landed on a random office building. Kid, that was reckless, you could have seriously gotten hurt. All Might scolded him. Izuku uttered out an apology, then saw that All Might was leaving again. Before his mouth knew what it was doing, he called out, "Wait." All Might paused for a second, then told the kid, "No can do I dash. Can someone with a quirk that's useless be a hero?" Izuku all but shouted. All Might stopped. He was surprised enough that he stayed for longer than he knew he should have. My quirk. It's very unique, but it is useless for all the stuff it does for heroics. He was perfectly aware that he was crying now, but he chose not to acknowledge the fact by staring at the ground. If he had looked straight ahead, he would have seen the cloud of steam coming from the spot that All Might was at struggling. My quirk is role-playing game. I should be able to do what RPG game can do, so that's the idea. Izuku gave a self-deprecating chuckle. My quirk needs a special requirement, and after 14 years I haven't figured it out, but even if I never figure it out, can I be a hero without a quirk? And give people a reassuring smile just like you? He told All Me, the skinny man in front of him. But where did All Might go? The boy screamed. The bony man coughed out blood and Izuku shrieked again. I am All Might, the skinny man announced, then coughed again. Izuku let out another screech and began reformulating excuses. No. All Might is a man that saves everyone with a smile, and he never shows weakness, and no way could you be All Might. He's so strong and is always smiling, but he was there just a second ago. Midoriya let out a bunch of denials and loud, practically yelling. The frail man coughed and let out a sigh. Staring at the floor, earlier confidence dissipating. Kid, I am All Might. The man divulged with a sigh, pulling up his shirt. The green-haired boy could only gasp in horror at the grotesque sight that was All Might's stomach. 6 years ago, I got into a fight with a villain. He took out the entire left side of my stomach. I can only do hero work for a few hours a day now. Was that during your fight with Toxic Chainsaw? Izuku asked. You really know your stuff, kid, but no, that weakling wasn't strong enough to beat me. It was another fight with a different villain, one I made sure was not made public. The symbol of peace must remain undaunted by evil. The man smiled, looked down solemnly, then snapped upright and stared directly into the eyes of the boy. I'd love to say that anyone could be a hero, with enough determination, but the work of a hero is dangerous. Both males glanced at the decrepit man's stomach. I know it's dangerous. I can't go and tell kids that they can become heroes when their quirks don't have combative abilities. The boy drew in a sharp breath. So, sorry kid, but with your current lack of combative quirk that is useful for hero work, you cannot become a hero. Izuku Midoriya stopped processing the outside world as he heard what All Might told him. His mind was blank. He'd heard the same from his classmates, teachers, and former friends, but hearing it from his hero, All Might, who apparently was a fragile old man, was a difficult pill to swallow. Now, please don't post about what you've seen online. I smile to let people know that I'm strong and that they're going to be okay. If someone found out that I can only fight a few hours a day due to this injury, villains would get bolder and roam the streets more freely. The blond man said in a deadly serious tone as Izuku merely nodded. After what felt like an eternity, Izuku looked at the roof's edge and smiled. Time to finally see what happens when I reach 0 horsepower. Izuku's POV. Standing at the edge of the rooftop, Izuku stared down into the abyss of an alleyway. He didn't want to live anymore, he wanted to end everything that has been happening to him. Jump, there is nothing left to live for. His inner thoughts was right. He has been compared as a worthless freak as long as he remembers. Everyone mocks him for not having a decent enough quirk, even calling him quirkless for their standards. Kaken has constantly beaten him senseless for comparing him to La Weakling, saying he was also level. No one will miss you, just jump. Mom would have a better time and not be burdened by her helpless son. At least by dying Izuku would actually be able to help her by not existing anymore. Jump already. Izuku didn't notice he was already hanging off the edge of the building. Sighing, he let go as gravity now shifted as all his danger senses screamed at him to grab something. He didn't grab anything as he stared into the sky as he fell into the alleyway. Now, a voice called out. Suddenly, instead of falling, Izuku was consumed by a purple mist as he felt his center of gravity shift as he was now rising in the air. Seconds later, he was back to plummeting when he felt arms grab him perfectly, making sure he wasn't injured. What? No, why save me now? Turning his face, he was met with red eyes. It reminded him of Katsuki, which he didn't like. Now paying extra attention, this individual had bluish-white hair as all his facial features suggest he has dry skin problems, making him really look like a drag dealer. Are you okay? He asked as he noticed the concern in his voice. Tenko Shimura LV 32. 100 HP 100 MP. Abilities, Decay. Skills, none. The person behind him was a dark mist man with huge menacingly eyes, however he was thrown off by his butler suit. This is weird, but it's not the worst thing to happen today. LV 24. 100 HP 100 MP. Abilities? Skills, none. Izuku was shocked for a moment but decided to ignore the random error in this mist person's name as he stood up weakly as he whispered out. I'm okay, just why? The person lifted his eyebrow in a questioning manner. Got to be real specific, kid. Why did you save me? I have done nothing for you and I have nothing to give. Izuku spoke softly, glaring at his two saviors. The person didn't seem to be surprised, as he just stared at him interestingly as he spoke. Who hurt you? What? Was all Izuku could manage to say in surprise. People don't throw themselves off of rooftops often, and even then I recognize burn marks anywhere. The person, presumably Tenko, spoke as pointed to his shoulder. That doesn't matter, just tell me why, please. Izuku begged as tears started dripping from his face. You seemed like you're calling out for help, he said softly. Izuku shut his mouth to not respond to his comment. What's your name, kid? Shigaraki asked, kneeling to his level. Izuku thought about giving his real name, but this man was a complete stranger, so he just chose what everyone else called him his entire life. The man sighed as he turned towards the mist man and spoke. Kurojari, you can go, just make sure get some good food for me. He ordered. Yes, sir, call me if you need something. The mist man, now named Kurojari, replied before disappearing out of existence. That caught Izuku's interest, but not for long. The man turned back to him and spoke. Let's go for a walk, Deku. Izuku thought about it and decided he at least owed him that much for saving his life, as he sighed and got up to follow him. The two walked off into the streets as Izuku walked silently, trying to be as small to the world as possible and lose his savior's interest, but it wasn't working since Shimura always kept at his pace, keeping an eye on him. Izuku sighed, giving in to the silence's peer pressure as he spoke. What do you want to know? The man smiled in victory as he spoke. Well, Deku, why did you decide to do it? Izuku felt uncomfortable, but he didn't want to be awkward again and spoke. There is no place for a useless person like me. How so? The man questioned with interest. I am useless, everyone says so, I'm basically as good as Quirkless. Izuku sighed, kicking a tin can away in distaste. Quirk problems. Mind telling me why everyone thinks it's so useless? Tenko asked, pulling his hood up to avoid the bright light of the sun. Izuku decided to just tell the man what he wanted to know. Maybe he could leave after he finds out how useless he is and he can go back to killing himself. Well, it isn't useful. I can do anything a role-playing game does. Izuku started. This seemed to have caught the man's interest as his eyes shined with wonder only a could have. Too bad it doesn't seem to work on his chapped face. What are you talking about? That seems very useful in many ways. The man grinned. That's what I thought, but I need to find a way to level up because I am still at level 0. Other than that, I can just mess with settings for volume and buy inventory, which is expensive. Izuku sked, knowing how much money he wasted on his stupid quirk. So you're stuck unless you figure out how to level up. Tenko nodded in understanding. Exactly, And everyone keeps putting me down and most of them believing that I don't even have a quirk. Izuku growled in anger. He can remember demonstrating to the entire school but they just wrote him off and labeled him useless. Yeah, BJT, don't you have people that care about you? What about friends? Tenko asked, starting his list. Bullies. Izuku shot back quickly. Siblings. Only child. Dad. Fed off. Mother. Honestly, I would rather have died and save her the trouble of worrying over me. Nothing to worry about and she can have her normal life again. Izuku ranted sadly, nearly walking into a pole. That Isuga's kid. Shimura growled, scratching his neck roughly. Must be skin problems. Just can you leave me alone? I would like to. A loud explosion disrupted the duo as more people ran up to the scene. Izuku followed after getting a better look as he spoke. Another? Man, today just isn't a good day. Yeah, that's what happens when people have literal bombs for quirks. Tenko spoke, standing next to Izuku, eyeing the scene. Wait, what? What do you mean? Izuku asked, trying to get a better look as he noticed that sludge villain All Might captured earlier is now on the loose. What is it? Shimura asked, now noticing Izuku's sudden reaction. That's the villain All Might captured earlier after saving me. Izuku explained, not really paying attention to the man. Wait, seriously, this slimy sheet attacked you earlier and somehow got away from All Might? Shimura whispered back in shock. I think Izuku was in shock. He must have dropped the sludge villain when he grabbed All Might's leg. He was an accessory to a villain's escape. Kid breath, I don't know what happened, but at least breath, we don't need another brat choking for air. Shimura hissed, eyeing the scene. What? Izuku asked, now pushing forward as he saw the scenery in front of him. In the middle of the chaos between heroes, fires, and smoke, there was a very familiar blonde in the villain's grasp as he was choking on sewage. The blonde's eyes stared at the crowd in a cry for help. Kaken! Izuku whispered in shock. Wa? Hey! Shimura called for Izuku as he ignored the man's calls, running straight into the inferno. Everyone watched in horror as this random kid sprinted into the middle of the scene as Izuku questioned his own mentality. Am I suicidal? Is this crazy? Do I have a plan? Hell no! Izuku's thoughts raced to his backpack as he swung it over his shoulders and let the random items stab the sludge villain's eyes as it screamed in pain. Kaken! Izuku called out in shock. Deku! Katsuki, exhausted from struggling for so long, was surprised to find Izuku clawing his way towards him. What the hell do you think you're doing? Get out of here, you dmed nerd. Izuku shook his head as he kept digging. I don't know, my body started moving. Katsuki, despite how close to dying he knew he was, couldn't accept that. Why are you here? I didn't ask you for your help. What are you trying to prove? F off and get out of here. I can't do that, Kaken. Katsuki finally got a look at Izuku's face as there was plenty of fear, but it's what was there besides that. Izuku was smiling. I can't just do nothing, Kaken. You looked like you needed help. All Might, who before had felt himself anchored down and powerless, felt a surge of emotions rip through him. You brat, I'll kill you. The sludge villain roared as he raised his tentacle ready to smash the kid. There was a rush of air to Izuku's side followed by a loud impact. But no pain. When Izuku opened his eyes, daring to look forward, he gasped, All Might? Between him and the villain stood All Might, his arm and side wrapped up in parts of the villain. All Might, while glaring up towards the villain, spoke down to Izuku, I owe you an apology, young man. After everything I said to you, I had not even been willing to follow my own words. With a flex, All Might ripped himself free of the sludge. Pros are always risking their lives. He reached down and picked Izuku up and held him in one arm, cradling him from his next attack, while he reared back with his other arm. Detroit's smash. The force behind the punch scattered the villain and put out the fires around the street. The heroes, mainly MT Lady, were able to protect the onlookers from the rest of the wind and shock wave. When the wind finally died down, there was a silence that fell over everyone. Then the first raindrops fell. Slowly people began to regain their senses, with a few people looking up. The very sky had darkened with clouds from the force of All Might's attack. Soon though a cheer erupted from the crowd as they celebrated All Might's victory pose without noticing blood. Shigaraki's POV. Tamura Shigaraki watched the whole ordeal in awe as he found new respect for the kid. The kid that just tried killing himself was now a savior to another life. Yes, he could have died if it wasn't for All Might intervening, but that's a given, because that's his job. This kid didn't do it for anything, he just did it despite knowing that it was crazy. Hey, we all can't be sane. What you did was incredibly reckless. You could have died, there was absolutely no need to put yourself in danger like that. Heroes scolded Deku for being a danger to their supposed mission. Shigaraki thought he was upset before now he was furious for Heroes scolding a kid who actually did something. There was something about the kid and his 2 near-death experiences that made it hard to be sitting by and not backing him up, so that's what he did, ignoring the officers holding back the reporters, and failing, and going straight for the kid. Sensei always told me to do as I wished. And what did you do? He hissed, trying to keep his boiling anger in check. The men seemed surprised this new person and they didn't immediately retaliate. Good on them. What did you do? Because, from where I was standing it looked like you just did a whole lot of nothing. Shigaraki mocked, drawing in a scene with Deku also watching in shock. Luckily the cameras aren't in view to see my face. Our quirks weren't suited to fight him. Morning would started. And his lack of one was? He yelled, which effectively shut them up as the whole crowd now faced them. Did you think that maybe there was a different solution to the problem? Have any of you even though to aim for the eyes? That seemed to be the only solid piece on that slime fucker. And what? Have any of you even tried to think of a solution that didn't exclusively rely on your quirks? They didn't respond, looking at him with their mouths open from shock. Deku's eyes sparkled in awe towards him. Well, Demolition Jock was now at a loss for words. No, I didn't think so. You just stood there and waited for him to die, and then you have the absolute gall to scold him, who actually did something to help for doing so. Shigaraki questioned, nearly wanting to kill them both here. Death Arms finally seemed to get his brain back as he whined back. Hey, he was in the way, he contributed nothing to the kid's rescue. He just gave him a few more precious seconds of air as he waited for any hero to appear and help keep the victim breathing or save him. Shigaraki growled at the heroes. We were going to do something, we were trained to do this. A random but hero interrupted. He hasn't got training and he did something faster than even pros while also finding a weakness? Please shove your pride up your butt and thank the kid for not making a murder scene on television. Come on Deku, Shigaraki growled, turning to leave. He promptly stomped away then, too said to give if anymore. They didn't try to stop him, at least not in front of reporters recording the whole conversation. Deku, who grew some guts, and followed him away from the scene as Deku now took the lead somewhere away from this mess. Good, because I would have killed them on the spot. It might not mean anything to them, but it was the venting he needed after he had witnessed heroes berating Deku for doing a heroic deed. Thank you. A small voice cut off Tamura's thoughts as he kept walking. What for? Shigaraki asked in confusion. For sticking up for me? I never had anyone do that for me. Deku explained softly that it hurt to see the kid like that. It's okay, I just felt like doing what was right. You at least tried when no one else was around to save him. Even with these sheet laws anyone could have done what you did, but no one bothered because the heroes were there. Tamura ranted, getting a chuckle out of Deku. It's the thought that counts, but either way, I'm glad I at least met one person who at least cared. Deku stated with a small smile, making the itch subside a little. This is crazy, but what the heck? Hey Deku. Tamura called out to the kid. Yes. Izuku asked, waiting for a response. No one's come to save you, have they? Shigaraki asked. Deku looked down as he answered, no. You had a hard life, Deku. Tamura stated, now stopping Deku as they both looked at each other. I don't count, was all Deku said in shame. Oh, who cares, no one will for someone useless, I'm sure that's what everyone thought as they looked away in your mourning. Tamura mocked the voices that Deku sure have heard before. Yeah. Deku admitted as tears dripped from his eyes. The world shouldn't be so unforgiving, Tamura replied, wiping the tears from Deku's eyes. But I did something. Why else would everyone hate me? Deku cried out. You didn't do anything wrong. Tamura now extended his hand towards Deku, giving off a reassuring smile that his master would be proud of. Just like Sensei did for me. Don't worry, I am here for you. Izuku's POV. Walking back home slightly better than the sheet day he had already. Izuku made his way home after departing with Shigaraki's phone number and a promise for coffee later. He was nearly home when a sudden shout came over the silence. I didn't ask for a weakling like you to help me, Katsuki started, and Izuku already knew it would be a waste of time, so he just stared at his HP bar, half listening to the blonde. 30 HP, I guess that slime BSD did a number on him. If I wanted, I could have taken him down myself. How dare a useless loser like you take pity on me? Don't you dare mock me. And with that, he turned around and started to stomp away. Izuku knew he should have kept his mouth shut. Kaken was just venting, letting out his emotions. However, Izuku was already having a sheet day and Bakugo already ruined his few minutes of a good mood, so he vented his anger also in a sarcastic manner. Oh, Kaken, next time I'll just let you die. The blonde stopped and Izuku watched his childhood friend for a reaction. Bakugo turned around and stared at the teen, eyes filled with enrage. What did you just say to me, you piece of shit? Izuku turned around and started walking away. You heard me, Kaken. Next time you need help, then die. Izuku turned back to see if the blonde followed him, but all he seen was the JRK stomping away, so he made sure to keep track of the blonde's dot on his map to see if he changed his mind. Can never be too sure. The sun was setting as shadows were darker than usual, and Izuku was tired. He wanted to go home and rest up for tomorrow's beating and dash. I am here. The sudden appearance of another loud blonde arrived. Ah, All Might, why are you here and weren't you busy with the press? Izuku panicked, searching for any civilians chasing him down. It was nothing to escape the media because I am All Might didn't get to finish his introduction as he immediately deflated. Taking his chance because he rather not call out All Might in his weakened form, Izuku looked up All Might stats. Toshinori Yagi LV 22. 100 HP, 100 MP. Ability? Skills? None. Considering this was All Might of all people, he would have guessed his LV was higher, but who is he to trust his quirk? At least I know his name now, but this is the second time I seen that question marks pop up. Are you going to be okay? You lost a lot of blood today. Izuku asked, worried slightly for the man's health. I am fine, young man, and I have been looking for you. He stated, sitting up straight. For me? Izuku asked, surprised. Maybe I'm in trouble still. I did drop that bottle. Yes, young man, I've come to thank you, for if it weren't for you, I would have not had been spurred into action and been able to save that boy. He explained to Izuku. I did nothing, All Might. Izuku spoke back weakly. Do you know how the best heroes always have stories of how they started? He asked, getting Izuku's attention. Izuku's breathing was growing ragged and his eyes started to water. Their bodies moved before their minds, and this happened to you, am I right? Young man. You can become a hero. Izuku's knees hit the pavement as he clutches his chest. Izuku didn't know what to say or how to say it. He was never told this, but he guessed it was just his breath hitching on itself that prevented him from speaking as All Might continued, I deem you worthy of my power. What? Izuku looked up in shock as All Might had his hands raised into the air, trying to resemble a deity. My quirk, one for all, has been passed on from generation to generation like a sacred torch, each holder cultivating its power more through each use. Only those with the pure hearts of a hero wield one for all. And no, I choose you, will you accept? Toshinori's POV. When he offered the boy his sacred gift, he was sure the boy would accept and become his ultimate successor. Yes, he needed to get the boy ready for this sort of power, but he believed he can handle that. So he waited patiently for the boy to process his thoughts and finally accept his true dash. So it's impossible to be a hero without power? All Might was shocked to his core. Not by the question, but the aura surrounding that question as the boy steadily stood up, swaying as he examined the boy's eyes. What? When did he have that dead look in his eyes? The aura was so cold and lifeless as the boy seemed to be waiting for the answer. Young man, you need something to be able to handle villains at least, All Might announced hesitantly. Apparently what he said wasn't the answer he needed as the aura grew colder and the boy growled out. You had the audacity to say that to me? After all my pain and suffering you want me to just ignore it for what? Power? Toshinori knew he screwed up but he needed to fix this and fast. Young man I dash. Toshinori reached out but his hand was slapped out the way as the boy screamed. What am I not good enough for the world? Do I need borrowed power to be someone? No, take your quirk and leave me alone. The screams paralyzed him from shock as the boy now ran away crying as one thought raced through his mind. What have I done? Izuku's POV. To say this was a sheet day was an understatement. This was a day he hated with nearly every fiber of his being. The only good that came out of today was that kind stranger who he really wanted to talk to again. Izuku, it's great to see you home again. Arriving at his house he was called out by his mother who greeted him with a small smile that he didn't like because even if she didn't know he hated that smile. That's the same smile she had since she found out my quirk didn't do anything special. Nearly 10 years never has she once smiled genuinely at him. But she was his mother and he still loved her. Just wishes she was supportive and didn't see him as weak also. Great to be back, Mom. Anything for dinner? Her smile shifted into a frown and she spoke. No, I just wanted to talk to you. Well, that stung, but he didn't know why she wanted to talk, so he listened closely. I seen the news and I'm disappointed in you, Izuku. She explained sadly. What, why? Izuku asked, worried. You ran into a scene where you could have gotten killed, you're friends with a crazy druggie, and your friend and you argued with the heroes. She explained harshly. What? I just met Tenko and she is already judging him? He was the first person to show me genuine kindness and Mom hates him for how he acts and looks? And I didn't even yell at the heroes yet she blames me also. But Izuku was interrupted when his mother suddenly slapped him. No buts, you are better than this, Izuku. You have friends at school, you have good grades, and you have a Katsuki, so stop this rebellion and go to your room. She shouted in anger. Izuku was surprised. He never thought his mom was like this. She was always kind. Many thoughts raced through his mind but he settled on the obvious. She wants me to be the good boy forever as everyone hurts me? She doesn't care about me, otherwise she would know the bullying, the discrimination, the suicide baiting. Izuku wanted to yell back and tell her everything but there was always the negligence of his mother. All right, Mom. He said sadly, walking up to his room hungry. Izuku knew his mom like the back of his hand, yet he decided to only see the good in her. Now all he can see is the bad in everything about her. Her negligence for starters, as he says he is hurt she chalks it up to being weak, or if he says the others hurt him she just says it's rough housing. So why should he listen to her if she doesn't even know him? There is no point listening to a mother that doesn't listen to you either. Picking up his phone he texted Tenko and sighed waiting for an answer. Deku, made it home. Thinking back to his life with his mother. She was never supportive, that was obvious, but she will constantly suggest something else to drive him away from his dreams. She never once apologized or even showed a hint of appreciation for my other skills. Heroes don't always fight bad guys, they rescue or they do recon, yet nothing reaches her. His phone buzzed and he picked it up to spot Tenko reply to his message. When was the last time I had anyone's number? Shigaraki, good to see you haven't offed yourself. Deku, Shigaraki? Shigaraki, yes, that's my name, Tamura Shigaraki. Deku, okay, so what now? I'm new to this friend thing. Shigaraki, well, we did promise to get some coffee, so maybe we just chat? Deku, that is fine, I just want to get out of this house for a bit. Shigaraki, how come? Deku, Mom is just upset at the news and thinks you're a druggie. Shigaraki, that's rude, I haven't even touched anything bad unless it's pain relief or cold medicine. Deku, same thing I thought, otherwise she just blamed me for acting against the heroes. Shigaraki, she does know that was me, right? Deku, doesn't care, I was with you so I must be acting the same way. Shigaraki, that SCKS man. Deku, meet you tomorrow? Shigaraki, sure, also want to work on your quirk tomorrow? Deku, work on my quirk? Shigaraki, of course, I am a huge RPG fan and played many games. You said you didn't know how it works, so maybe you are taking inspirations from the wrong games. Deku, I never thought of it like that, I only played a few RPG games. Shigaraki, that's why I want to help, I am very curious on what you can do also. We could have fun and play games together. Deku, I would like that, see you tomorrow. Shigaraki, don't try to die again, kid. Izuku put his phone up as he smiled at the ceiling. He made a friend, a first real friend, that cared about him and wanted to help. He was surprised by the sudden name change, but that's on him for judging that Tamura changed his name or was adopted. Drifting off to sleep, he knew Tamura Shigaraki was something else. No one ever stalks their neck out for him, so for him to be the first, he knew Tamura was the key to unlocking his role in this world. He just needed to be patient and enjoy his company. Who knows, maybe he will be my hero. Izuku's POV. To say Izuku is nervous would be an understatement. Izuku was panicking. Yes, Shigaraki was the one who came up with the idea of them going out, but he was his first friend? Are we friends? Haven't had a real friend in so long. Upon entering a run-down coffee shop with little maintenance, Izuku was surprised by the interior. It seemed like a 4-star rating cafe you see anywhere else, with cats clawing on the posts, the fresh smell of coffee, and nice Wi-Fi connections. Why haven't I noticed this place sooner? It literally is 6 blocks away from my home. That's because the owner likes it this way, a man with a deep voice spoke behind him. Ah. Izuku yelped, turning towards the voice only to spot a tall man with gray hair and an excellently groomed mustache. Sorry to startle you, young man, I was just simply excited to meet another customer of this fine establishment. The man chuckled, walking over towards the counter. Nice to meet you, sir. Izuku bowed quickly as he checked the man's name. Denjuro Tabita LV0. 100 HP, 100 MP. Ability, elasticity. Skills, none. What brings you here today? I take it you didn't just decide to walk into a random building in hopes for a cafe. The man grinned, waving 2 fingers towards the counter where a waiter with black hair and glasses nodded, hurrying towards the kitchen. Was meeting a friend here who recommended this place, and I guess I was just a little early. Izuku explains, checking the menu. Ah, then they must be familiar with the underground. The man chuckled, grabbing his 2 drinks. Underground? Izuku asked, confused. You don't know what the underground is, my boy? The man asked, staring at him in wonder. I'm familiar with the terms such as underground heroes, but never really understood it. Izuku replied quietly. I see a new one. Well, fear not, young man, because the underground is the place for the unfortunate souls looking for a way out of society's standards. The man started explaining. Unfortunate souls? Izuku asked, now intrigued with his tale. The downtrodden, such as unlucky people who don't fit the role of good people, the lost, the discriminated, and the dreams of many who died to be forgotten. The man explained, sighing in what Izuku could tell is sadness. So what are you doing here? And how is this cafe beneficial? Izuku asked, now taking in this new information. Believe it or not, Akumiyata here loves to help people no matter the world's judgment. He bowed towards the man to take the lead. Izuku also took a quick scan of the man's name. Akumiyata Vamorous LV2. 100 HP, 100 MP. Ability, catnip. Skills, none. Akumiyata spoke, leaning forward with the tip of his hat. Pleasure serving you, young man, and as Mr. Tabita explained, I don't care who or what you are and will accept you in my establishment as long as you don't screw me over. He giggled, sliding a cup of coffee towards him. What do you mean by what I am? Izuku tilted his head, confused. I mean what I say, a troubled teen, homeless, vigilante, criminals, hell, even villains like to come to my place once in a while. The man explained, picking up a cat, petting it. Violations? Izuku stuttered in shock. He didn't know how to react. Being in a cafe meant for villains. Yep. The butler nodded, now feeding the cat a treat. What, why? Izuku asked in disbelief. Why not? They are human too, and I don't have a problem with them. Also, business isn't exactly booming here, so I'll take what I can get. Akumiyata laughed, wincing when the cat bit his hand. Really? Aren't you scared they might attack you? Izuku asked in bewilderment. Not really, believe it or not, the underground isn't as evil as people make it out to be, but it isn't good either. Akumiyata shrugged off, placing the cat down. Exactly, Everyone here is their own person, no one is completely black and white. Example, are you scared of me? The man asked Izuku with a bright smile. What, of course not, why would I be scared of you? Izuku asked confused. Because I am a villain, gentle criminal. He winked, grabbing his drinks, heading out the door, tossing a stack of cash at the waiter. What? Really? But how, you seem so nice. Izuku asked in disbelief by all he was witnessing. Gentle turned towards Midoriya as he gave him a sharp look. Young man, I may be a villain but I have a heart. Yes, you shouldn't trust me as much as the next villain, but remember, all villains aren't evil. We just can't go back to the painful and pitiful lives we have. With that, Gentle was out the door, leaving Izuku shocked by the speech. It wasn't until moments later the waiter tapped his shoulder, knocking him out of his mind. My door is pretty amazing, but pretty sure you would want to focus on something else for a while. Akumiyata grinned, handing over a tabby cat towards Izuku. Sorry. Izuku apologized, grabbing the tabby as it started purring on him. No problem, Gentle, believe it or not, isn't a bad guy. He just had unfortunate things happen to him and chose to be a villain doing crimes for justice, even if it didn't really matter to the people. Akumiyata explained, checking his phone as he petted another cat. Izuku smiled, staring back at the door where the villain left as he spoke softly. Well, I hope he doesn't get caught. 15 minutes later, Izuku's POV. Izuku was glad the cats were here, otherwise he would have been freaking out about Shigaraki being late. He breathed a deep sigh of relief when the white bluish hair person walked in with a backpack. Oh my gosh, he came. Hey Shigaraki. Izuku called out, waving for his attention. Tamura spotted him and smiled genuinely at him. Yes, it was creepy, but who cares? Not his fault he has skin problems. Glad you came, Deku. He has been here for 30 minutes, just so you know. Akumiyata explained, pointing at the clock tower. Really, why? Shigaraki asked, giving him a confused look. Didn't want to keep you waiting. Izuku admitted shyly. Maybe 30 minutes was a bit too early. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you text me or give me a heads up that you won't be here for another hour or skip. Shigaraki explained, taking a seat across from him. Oh, I'll keep that in mind next time. Izuku apologized, drinking his coffee. The two sat there enjoying each other's silence for a few minutes before they started to actually chat. Alright, that's enough silence for now, but let's actually chat. Oh, what kind of chat? Izuku asked shyly. Please don't talk about the suicide attempt. Well, first of all, who am I working with? Shigaraki asked, giving him his undivided attention. Excuse me? Izuku asked, confused. I can respect you keeping your name private, Deku, but I still don't fully know you, so tell me about yourself. Let's start with what's your favorite song? He asked as Izuku could tell he was studying him. That is fair, I am a stranger still. Well, I don't particularly have a favorite song, but I do enjoy this old band called Set It Off. Izuku explained shyly. He wasn't used to sharing things about himself with other people, let alone strangers. But it's the least he could do for Shigaraki for saving his life. Heard of them, not particularly my taste, but it was a good band. Shame most music today sucks compared to the pre-Quirk era masterpieces. Shigaraki grinned happily at him. Oh my gosh, I have checked his preferences. I know, right, so I guess it's my turn next? Izuku asked, waiting for permission. Go ahead, but I won't reveal everything to you, you need LV5 friendship. Tamura giggled, sipping his drink with his pinky out. Same here, but I guess, do you have any dreams? Izuku asked happily. Not particularly, but I guess it's a goal of mine to change this happy-go-lucky society. Tamura shrugged off as he petted the cat. Really? Izuku asked in disbelief. Yep, it's not gonna be easy, but I can take a challenge. Shigaraki grinned as Izuku detected something that sounded unnerving but decided to ignore it. Maybe it's the raspy voice making it sound weird. All right, your turn again. Izuku explained, wanting to know more about his savior. Okay, so tell me, what kind of hobbies do you have? He asked, eyeing him still. Maybe I'm just mixing facial expressions wrong. Well, besides gaming, which I am bad at, I have been writing stuff in my notebooks since I was a kid. But I don't know if I should continue doing this hobby anymore. Izuku explained, pulling out a burnt notebook from his inventory as he looked into the autographed page, making his mood darken. Well, can I see? Shigaraki asked, holding his hand out. Izuku instinctively clutched his notebook as he stared at Shigaraki's hand in fear from the memories of his former friend. Shigaraki retracted his hand slightly, making a thin line on his mouth. He whispered carefully as he spoke. I'm not gonna destroy the notebook, Deku, but if you want, then I won't take it from you. Izuku stared at him in shock as he slowly eyed his notebook. All his suffering was awful and only his notebooks brought him back and distracted him from the pain. He didn't know if he would still be sane anymore if he didn't have his notebooks on him. It's okay, just have bad experiences with it. Izuku explained, handing over his notebook, hesitating a bit. That is understandable, seems battered up, and judging by the way you are protective of it, means everyone else destroys it. He said, eyeing the texture of the book. Oh my gosh, he is more observant than my eating teachers. Yeah, recently had to dry the pages. Izuku admitted nervously. Opening the first page, Shigaraki's eyes widened but soon settled on the look of curiosity. Flipping more pages, Shigaraki skimmed through the entire notebook as if searching for something or seeing Izuku's progress. You certainly have a skill for analysis, and why don't you want to do this as a hobby anymore? He asked with a raised eyebrow. Well, here I go, I guess. Because it was for me to become a hero. If I can make up for anything at all to give me a chance at heroics, then I would do it. However, recent events have been changing my mind, and I don't know what to do anymore. Izuku sighed, waiting for Shigaraki to just give up on him. Shigaraki studied him for a bit as he spoke. Why did you want to be a hero? What? Izuku asked, confused by the sudden question. You heard me, what drives you to be a hero? Shigaraki asked, glaring at him. Izuku thought about it for a few seconds until he spoke. Well, when I was little, I guess it was to ease people's worries with a smile like All Might. For a few seconds a dark aura took over the cafe, but not noticed by Izuku. Well, now I guess it's to genuinely protect people in need of help. Yes, I still have to fight, but if I can save that one hostage, help a villain with his problems, ease a person's life, or even save a lost child, then I will be there to help no matter what, whether it be from quirkless to villainous. Tamura was wide-eyed, but soon enough he settled on a genuine smile. Deku, can I be honest with you? Oh sure. Izuku agreed, confused by the sudden development. I hate heroes. They're stuck up and want to satisfy themselves with violence and not focus on the little things, making this garbage society believes everyone can be saved by heroes. He explained, gritting his teeth. Oh my gosh, how can I be so insensitive? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Izuku quickly apologized. No, it's fine, I'll make an exception. I want you to become a hero. You seem like you understand what it means to be an actual listen to the cries of the downtrodden. He explained, giving Izuku a new spark he has been waiting to light up for years. Thank you. Izuku smiled, crying tears of joy. Yeah, just don't worry about it if you don't want to be a hero anymore, for it doesn't matter to me. However, I will say if you want to belong somewhere else, then maybe I could help you. Shigaraki explained, easing some worries of Midoriya, thinking he has to hold up his friend's expectations. He really understands. You know, you're the first person to actually encourage me to follow my dreams. Izuku said, dropping his eyes, still keeping his smile. That's because I'm not an idiot who only cares about a person's quirk. Shigaraki stated bluntly. So what should we do now? Izuku asked shyly, wanting to change the serious topic. Tamura pulled his smile into a devilish grin at him as he pulled out 2 handheld game consoles as he spoke. Let's see what kind of gaming quirk you got. Izuku's POV. Tamura and Izuku spent the most amount of time at the cafe playing video games and asking questions to confirm whether this was something his quirk related to. In all honesty, Izuku didn't really focus much on his quirk and was actually enjoying Tamura's company as he played another game involving leveling mechanics. Not this one either? He asked with some patience. Sorry, but I don't think playing a video game will suddenly level me up. Izuku chuckled, handing Tamura back his handheld console. Worth a shot, but is there anything else you can tell me about your quirk? He asked, leaning forward, listening for every detail. This is the first time anyone has actually listened to me. Well, I already know about the cash system, meaning I just have cash on me and store it away for later or to buy more inventory slots. Izuku started explaining bit by bit. Inventory slots? Tamura asked interested. Oh, I can store stuff in my quirk, but I only have limited slots because I lack money. Izuku explained, bringing out his notebook from thin air. That's pretty impressive. You could literally prepare yourself for any situation. All you really need is money to become versatile in any way. Tamura smiled at his analysis of the quirk's possibility. Oh my god, I found a quirk analyst buddy. Exactly, and no one would believe me, and you are the first person to actually get it right. Izuku smiled happily at his friend. No sweat, any person with a brain could figure that out. So what's next? Tamura asked, interested in this quirk talk. Well, I can adjust the sounds in my settings option and make the volume higher or lower depending on what I think is necessary for my hearing. Izuku explained, knowing he won't be touching the volume for a while after the slime incident. Is useful if you need focus or eavesdrop on people. Tamura nodded in understanding. True, but besides those and UI for my vision with the minimap for hostile people towards me, then I'm basically useless. Izuku admitted sadly, taking a drink of his coffee. Hey, you're more useful than half the people I met, and I ain't talking about quirks alone. Tamura spoke, reading Izuku's notebook. Thanks, so should I talk about the stuff that doesn't work? Izuku asked shyly, wanting to get away from the praise he enjoyed. Sure. So tell me what everything else is and what you think. Tamura asked, interested more as he drank his coffee. Well, there is stats, but I don't know how they work unless I level up and get a skill, I believe. Same thing with skills. Izuku started with. That's usually the case, so what's next? Tamura asked again. Name is completely useless and costs 1,000,000 yen. Izuku giggled, seeing Tamura's jaw drop. Noted, and don't ever use it. He informed him. Armor is something I haven't figured out yet, and clothes don't count, so I need a literal piece of armor or something entirely different. Izuku explained, with Tamura nodding along. There are some games where you could also build your own armor, so maybe that also means it's a skills possibility. Tamura informed Izuku, who smiled at the helpful idea. Next is production, which I have no idea what it is. Izuku explained sadly. It's too vague, so maybe building something or supplies? Tamura asked, with Izuku shrugging his doubts as well. Besides the 2 question marks, all I have is chat, which means I need to be in someone's party. Izuku explained, which got Tamura's mind racing. Now I can see why you struggled so much with your quirk. Everything is too vague and you don't have an NPC to guide you. Tamura spoke, rubbing his chin. See what I mean? Izuku asked, worried he was a lost cause. I want to ask something. When you said party, have you tried to get anyone to do something invitation-like? Tamura asked, seemingly coming up with an idea. I asked Mom if she wanted to join my party, but she actually thought of a literal party as in a tea party, and well, everyone else doesn't like me. Izuku spilled, with his fake smile plastered on. Well, try with me, say something invitation-like. Tamura asked, with eyes shining in curiosity. Oh, would you like to join my party? Izuku asked as he waited for any reaction from Tamura, but nothing happened. Knew it was pointless. Just as Izuku was about to give up, Tamura rubbed his chin and spoke. Try again, but let's shake hands. This surprised Izuku, but he accepted Tamura's hand graciously as Tamura made sure to keep his pinky finger away from the rest of his hand. Must be a 5-finger touch-based quirk for decay to begin. Would you like to join my party? Izuku asked again, waiting for this attempt to fail. What he didn't expect was Tamura to grin devilishly and move his hands to the middle of the air and speak. I accept Izuku Midoriya. Tenko Shimura has joined the party. What, but how? Izuku asked as tears started to form in his eyes. A screen showed up with your actual name on it. Sorry, by the way, and I accepted. Tamura smiled, seeing Izuku's tears become more noticeable. Thank you, and don't worry about the name. Izuku explained, smiling proudly at his new friend. We did something new thanks to Tamura. I'm guessing you could also see my name? Tamura asked, eyes slightly twitching. Oh, sorry, should have told you sooner, but you told me your adoptive name, so I thought I might be insensitive to speak about it. Izuku explained, bowing down in apology. It's fine, just not used to seeing that name again. Tamura sighed before checking something in midair. Tamura? Izuku asked, confused. Hold on, I'm checking something out. Tamura spoke when suddenly a text popped on the corner of his eyes. Tenko Shimura, what's up, kid? Tongue sticking out. Oh my gosh, that's amazing! Izuku yelled, jumping on his seat excitedly, scaring away a few cats. Inside voices. The waiter scolded from the counter, feeding his cats. Sorry. Izuku apologized, returning to his grinning friend. I'm level 32. He spoke, pointing towards the air. I'm guessing you also have a UI? Izuku asked. Yes, and seems like I can access everything you can, but there is something new. He spoke, studying the screen. Izuku thinks. New? Izuku asked, interested as well. Yes, there is now a character option and a guild option. He explained to him. Oh my gosh, a guild? I know what a guild is, but character? Izuku asked, opening a new chapter in his notebook. Yeah, but it's just slots, with another saying to wait till I'm level 40. Tamura explained, hesitant to continue. I have no idea, so I'm guessing you have to be at certain level requirements to access those, right? Izuku asked, writing down everything he could. A mile a minute. Seems like it. Don't want a level 0 noob to make a guild right away. Tamura replied before he lowered his hands. Something the matter? Izuku asked, lowering his notebook. No, it's just late and the cafe is about to close, so let's call it a day. He explained, getting off his seat. But we just made a breakthrough. I want to know more of what my quirk is capable of. Izuku whined, flailing his notebook around. You will later. I also have a life too, Deku. Tamura chuckled, giving the waiter a cash for the drinks. Oh, sorry. Izuku apologized, bowing towards his friend. Come on, Izuku, don't be selfish. Don't be. I know you're excited, so I'll tell you what, I won't touch anything until our next meeting, okay? Tamura smiled, holding a fist towards the boy. Okay, I can wait. Thank you so much, Tamura. Glad to have you as a friend. Izuku smiled, not noticing the surprised look on the older male's face. No problem, so see you later, Deku. Tamura smirked, walking out the door, leaving Izuku to smile as he checked his friend's chat again. Izuku Midoriya, I miss you already. Tongue sticking out. Tenko Shimura, I regret this already. Sad face. Izuku Midoriya, free texting YY. Izuku smiled, leaving the cafe, paying for his drink and petting a kitten as well before heading home to rest for tomorrow. Izuku's POV next day. Izuku had the best sleep he had in years as he slowly stretched his bones, popping them all back in place. Izuku opened his eyes to find a giant notification hovering in front of him. Leveled up to LV1. Izuku's POV. If anyone paid attention to Midoriya, they will say he was happy would be an understatement. He was crying with tears of joy for finally being able to get across the barrier that has been holding him back for 14 years. He wanted to tell someone, anyone, but then it hit him. Who would believe such a weak person? That thought stunned him from his joyful success, since his voices were right. Who would believe me? He can't tell anyone at school about his success because, thinking about it, he was level 1, that wasn't a big difference from nothing. He could tell his mom, but he was still upset with her, and even then she will think he may be too weak despite his new breakthrough. Noticing his HUD, he paid attention to the lingering name of Tenko Shimura just below his HP bar. Guess he is the only person I can tell this to. Izuku Midoriya, I leveled up. Tenko Shimura, really? Izuku Midoriya, yay, I just woke up and there was a big notification that said I leveled up. Tenko Shimura, must be something I did. We'll talk about it today for lunch. I'm free for today. Izuku Midoriya, really? Tenko Shimura, sure, same place? Izuku Midoriya, yes, smiley face, see you later. Making his way out the apartment through the streets, he was so excited, shaking off all his stress from earlier, skipping towards the cafe, not paying attention towards the news about the death of a pro-hero slugger. Nearing the cafe, he was suddenly knocked out of his trance when a voice called out from a nearby alleyway. Better back off or else I'm going to make you. A feminine voice spoke up. Izuku made his way closer to the alleyway as he listened in. Come on baby, let's just have a little fun. A man spoke as Izuku could actually hear the grin come off the man. Turning towards the scene, Izuku's breath hitched as he witnessed the scene in front of him. A grown buffed man with grayish hair was towering over the woman, holding out a scary ice dagger towards the woman. She had sky blue skin with lilac hair and green eyes as she seemed to be in a fighting position, growling at the man. "For the last time, leave me alone before I make you, I have somewhere to be." The man drew closer towards the woman, speaking. "And what's so important that you decide to skip out on my fun?" The man chuckled, still holding the knife. "Sheet." Without thinking, Izuku ran into the alleyway, worried about the woman. "Mom, there you are." Izuku spoke, smiling at the woman. "What?" the man asked, turning around to face him. Izuku drew every willpower he had to pull this stunt off, or else he was in trouble too. "Oh, hello, I'm Akatani. Are you a friend of my mom?" Izuku asked, sweating bullets, trying to keep up his plastered smile. "Yeah." The man chuckled weakly, not noticing the woman staring at the boy, also surprised, quickly making her way towards his side, also taking up the act. "Oh, sweetie, you're back. This is Brunos, an old college of mine when I used to work at the office." The woman smiled, turning towards the man, putting on a fake grin. "Oh, thank God she can act. Nice to meet you, Mr. Brunos. Did I interrupt your chat?" Midoriya questioned, putting on a worried frown. "No, of course not, sweetie. I just finished catching up and was about to tell him we are heading towards the train station to visit your grandma." The woman lied, smiling at him, making the criminal uneasy as he hid the knife behind his back poorly. "Oh God, I can't believe this is working." "All right, nice meeting you, Mr. Brunos." Midoriya smiled as both him and the woman left the dumbfounded man, who was lost on what happened. Never again. Making it at least a block away, the woman let out a giggle from trying to hold down a laughter, making Midoriya also chuckle at the fact they completely tricked a criminal. Their giggles went into full-blown laughters, startling a few civilians as they held their stomachs in joyful pain. Calming down, the woman decided to speak first as they kept walking aimlessly. "I have to admit, that was amazing." The woman smiled, wiping a few tears away. "It was. Did you see his face?" Izuku grinned, still chuckling at the poor criminal. "Oh yeah, I will treasure that memory for weeks, though have to admit what you did was pretty clever." The woman praised, poking his head playfully. "Thanks, I was really hoping you will play along, but turns out you were a first-class actor." Midoriya chuckled, swatting away the woman's hands, still not used to physical affection. "Of course I am. You have to be when your job is to be a reporter trying to go undercover fishing for info." The woman smiled, boasting about herself. "Oh right, should probably check her name to not sound rude. Kazuki Chitose LV15. 100 HP, 100 MP. Ability, Landmine. Skills, none. That's really handy. Glad I could help defuse the situation, otherwise I would have needed to distract him to get you away." Midoriya sighed in relief, forcing a small smile. "Aw, my little hero, but why didn't you call for help?" Chitose asked, raising an eyebrow. "Because the closest hero is 2 blocks away. I know the schedule they take and there wasn't any close by." Midoriya explained, pointing down the street to a busy area where you could see Kamui Woods jumping rooftops. "Interesting, and where did you learn how to act?" Chitose asked, giving him her full attention. "Oh, I just learned naturally, I guess. Basically learned to do that when I was little." Midoriya explained as he and Chitose made another turn, heading nowhere. "Not gonna tell her I had to learn from bullying." "Alright, well thank you again, Akatani. Here is a little gift from me as thanks." Chitose reached into her pocket, pulling out a few bills of yen, holding it out to him. "Oh, don't worry about it. I don't really like accepting gifts for doing the right thing." Midoriya denied, smiling at her. The woman stared in shock but smiled as well, taking back the money before speaking. "You are very interesting, Akatani." The woman praised, staring at him happily. "Oh, that was a fake name. The real name's Midoriya. I'm not stupid enough to give my real name away towards a criminal." Izuku stated, unknowingly failing that statement. "Well, thank you for saving me, Midoriya. I'm Chitose. I really have to be going soon, so see you around, sweetie." The woman winked, heading off towards a different direction, as Izuku smiled at his accomplishment. "First time I actually helped someone without getting beat up. That's a +1 in my book." Heading back towards the direction of the cafe, Izuku smiled, walking in to find Tamura waiting there playing on his console. "Hey Tamura, hope I didn't keep you waiting." Izuku smiled, sitting down across from him. "Hello Deku, I wasn't waiting long, I just ordered our drinks 3 minutes ago." Tamura stated, saving his game, putting it up to give his full attention to Midoriya. "So want to talk about my quirk or focus on something else for a bit?" Midoriya asked, picking up a cat, petting it. "So fluffy. We could talk about your quirk, so you mentioned something about leveling up?" Tamura asked, leaning forward, interested in this conversation. "Yes, but I don't know how I leveled up considering that I have been trying for all my life." Izuku sighed internally for the long wait. Tamura seemed to be in a moment of thought process, staring at Midoriya questionably. "Did you do anything before you went to sleep?" he asked, petting the cat that decided to get in his face. "No, it just was there when I woke up," Midoriya explained, thoughtfully recalling the giant text. "It wasn't an achievement or quest since it would have obviously shown up when we partied, and you never mentioned anything about a quest log." Tamura thought carefully before snapping his fingers, pushing the cat out of his face, grinning. "Did you figure something out?" Midoriya asked, excited about his friend's opinion. "It has to be an EXP share. We are partied up, so it would only make sense that you will gain experience from whatever I do." Tamura smiled, with the waiter from yesterday coming over now serving iced tea. "Your drink, sir. Glad to see you again, kid." Akumiyata smiled, bowing his direction. "Thank you, sir. Great to see you again so soon." Midoriya smiled, making the waiter nod his head, accepting the boy's genuine words before heading off. "Have to say, it's only been a day and you have grown slightly more confident," Tamura explained, raising an eyebrow, making Midoriya blush from embarrassment. "He didn't know." Midoriya stuttered shyly, wanting to be consumed already. "Don't worry about it, we both know you need the confidence boost." Tamura chuckled as Midoriya was quick to change subjects. "So anyway, my quirk, have anything else you wish to explain about it?" Midoriya asked, excited to write down any information on his quirk, pulling out his notebook from his inventory. "As a matter of fact, like I promised, I haven't touched the quirk, so we are learning this together." Tamura grinned, swiping down the air, presumably opening his menu. "Alright, so what should we start with?" Midoriya asked, nervous about his friend's opinion on his quirk. Opening his menu, he waited for Tamura to continue his research. "Okay, starting with stats on strength, so I knew this was going to be a thing, so I actually brought some weights." Tamura explained, opening his inventory, dropping a 50-pound dumbbell on the table. "So what are we testing?" Midoriya asked, confused by the object. "I struggle to lift this up when I train, so now I'm going to put 1 point into strength and see what happens." Tamura explained, pressing something mid-air as he then lifted the dumbbell, breaking 1 drop of sweat. "So how is it?" Midoriya asked excitedly, with stars in his eyes. "The change is subtle, but it's there. You wouldn't notice it if you were working out daily, but since I was able to notice the slight change," Tamura explained, putting the dumbbell back into his inventory. "Really? How much of a difference are we talking about?" Izuku asked, excited about the idea of super strength. "Maybe 5 pounds per point, so technically if I dump all my points into strength, then my weak arms should be able to lift a grown man and punch really hard to break probably cement." Tamura explained, taking Midoriya's notebook, writing down the formula for point distribution. "That's impressive, so it adds to your basic strength, so technically if I was a buff man with that many points, then I could be able to lift a fridge or 2 with ease." Midoriya explained with wonder in his eyes. "True, so on to the next test with vitality," Tamura explained, pressing the point. Izuku noticed Tamura staring up into the air as he smiled. "Got 25 health points, and checking my stats, my defense went up by 5 points." Tamura smiled, holding out his fist in a knuckle. "Want a fist bump?" Izuku asked, confused by the sudden gesture. "No, idiot, hit my fist as hard as you can. I want to see how much damage I take," Tamura explained, waiting for the boy. Izuku was still unsure of harming his friend, but his curiosity was killing him, so he gave in to temptation and slammed his arm down Tamura's fist. He couldn't notice the health bar going down since Tamura's health bar was smaller than his own, but Tamura nodded along, writing in his notebook. So it appears as if you did 1 damage to me, so maybe dumping all my points into this may be beneficial. He explained, happily making more formulas. What can you defend against if you do put all your points into vitality? Izuku questioned, curious of his friend's opinion. Oh, I don't know, maybe a FNG car with only minor scratches. Tamura cackled, praising his work. That's amazing. Izuku praised Tamura in awe. I know, now looking at the other stats, when I press on them there is magic and mana on your dexterity and intelligence, so all that's left is agility, meaning I'll run around the neighborhood tomorrow and let you know how that goes. Tamura explained to Midoriya, carefully closing his stats. Midoriya was practically bouncing on his seat like a happy child waiting for his Christmas gift from Santa, making the villain smile for his friend. Can't wait to see what I'm capable of. Oh, I'm so excited for what I'm able to learn next. Third-person POV. Izuku was nervous about this next part of his quirk. It was something he really wanted to focus on since he had no access to it since he was born. Now he can finally get a peek at it after all this time, along with his first friend since Kaken. Opening it up, he was instantly greeted by many skill trees and organized. Wow, that's a lot of skills. Looking at his skills in shock, Tamura spoke. I can't believe it either, and I have points to spend unlike you. Tamura chuckled, tapping a skill already. You're mean, you know that. Izuku pouted, playfully tapping a skill also. Sorry, but I just find it amusing that I'm better at your quirk than yourself. Tamura grinned, eyeing his unseen skills. I'm guessing you can also read what skills you can get and what they do? Izuku asked shyly. Yeah, and I gotta say that your quirk is broken, Deku. Tamura spoke, swiping down the air, eyeing more skills. Broken? As in it's all useless? Izuku asked, confused and upset about the potential that his quirk was always useless. No, I'm saying you have more power than you could ever imagine. I would love to cast different types of magic, support, and is that a smithing skill? Tamura asked in awe, checking every available skill. Looking at his skills, Izuku went through every skill and read the full tree. Bear, learn basic martial combat to specialized attacks. Sword skill, learn to wield blades and special attacks. Bow skill, unlimited ammo and special attacks. Knuckle skill, learn to use gauntlets and special attacks. Katana, learn to wield a specific sword and its specialized attacks. Halberd, learn to use mid-range weapons and special attacks. Magic, learn to cast magic and special attacks, mana required. Guard skills, equip armor and master it. Shield skill, equip a shield and master it, with specialized defense. Dagger skills, learn daggers and its specialized attacks. Knight skill, learn the art of a protector and its special skills. Hunter, learn the art of the hunter and its special skills. Priest, learn the art of the priest and its special skills. Assassin, learn the art of the assassin and its special skills. Wizard, summon a familiar to cast special skills. Tamer, capture animals and make them allies with empowerment. Smith skill, craft weapons and armor with resources. Alchemy, craft potions and enchant equipment. Battle skills, raise your basic combat skills higher to peak conditions. Dancer, perform a special dance that will empower your allies. Minstrel, equip an instrument to empower allies and debuff enemies. Support skills, support your allies with health and mana. Survival skills, adapt quicker and learn to survive against foes. Magic blade, enchant weapons from mana itself to perform specialized attacks. Dark power, very dangerous attacks, use at your own risk. Blinking from surprise, Izuku spoke out. That last one is ominous. Tamura looked at his screen and paled. Do not ever touch that. Why? Izuku asked innocently if his friend was worried about that. Tamura sighed and leaned back, thinking clearly before speaking. Those are dangerous skills, Deku. They are likely to maim or even kill people, but also have the chance to kill you in the process. Tamura explained carefully. But aren't all the skills able to kill if used poorly? Izuku countered with his question. Yes, But this will kill you if you aren't careful. Like the skills I'm reading in the dark place is that it will instantly take half your health to deal damage to 10 times that amount on your enemy, and the kill me skill to kill my enemy. Tamura explained, glaring at Izuku with all his death aura to lead him away from that section. I'll reach I won't to yuk that skill I promise. Izuku raised his hands defensively. Yeah, he wasn't going to touch that skill yet. He really needed to stop thinking of suicide so much. Alright, since you have a skill, what do you wish to put it into? Tamura asked, interested in his opinion. I don't know, maybe magic or something? Izuku rubbed his head sheepishly. He had always dreamed of finally getting a skill, and now that he has a skill point, he has no idea what he wants to do with it. I'm going to put some skills into Smith and see what I can do. Tamura explained, rubbing his chin. Really? Why? Izuku asked, shocked by Tamura's sudden decision. Because it seems like no matter what, you will need a weapon or armor. Yeah, you can fight barehanded and without armor, but it's best if you had someone make that in case you do need something for a skill to work. Tamura explained, tapping something midair. Wow, you really are smart, Tamura. Izuku praised, being grateful for having a friend finally helping him with his problems. Thanks, it comes with years of experience dealing with these MMORPG games. Tamura chuckled, swiping more and tapping. Suddenly a katana landed on the table with a loud clanking sound, startling the boy. What the hell, Tamura? Izuku shouted, scaring away many cats as he clutched his heart from the sudden appearance of a blade in front of him. Sorry Deku, but look at this. Tamura smiled, pointing at the blade and feeling its texture. Wow, did you make this, Tamura? Izuku asked in awe, also feeling the blade. Yep, wanna know how? Tamura grinned happily at Izuku's admiration. Of course, why wouldn't I? Izuku asked, still feeling the blade. Had to waste 2 skills, one for the skill processing, and the other for the skill weapon crafting. That dumbbell I had earlier, I processed into 15 metal, and scraped a pair of gloves I had also in the inventory for 4 cloth. The final product was a very fragile katana using those resources that should be good for a few fights. Tamura explained, smugly lifting the blade, keeping his pinky finger off the handle, swinging low. That's so amazing, Tamura. Izuku praised in awe, making Tamura feel something in his heart for a moment. I'm gonna save my points and research any games that have this sorta system, Deku. I don't know how to reset my skills, and we don't have infinite points here. Tamura explained, closing his screen, focusing on his friend. I know, and then there is the fact that we don't know how I leveled up yet too. Izuku sighed, staring at the blade fondly. I'll figure what I did last night, and see if I can get you some more levels if I can. Either way, I still need information, and we need a safe place to train as well. Tamura explained, stretching to get up from his seat. Wait, Tamura, before you go I want to say thank you. Izuku spoke quickly, tugging his sleeve before the teen left. Thank me? Tamura asked as he was confused about the kid's thanks. I never really had friends, and no one helped me ever. The only people who was nice to me was my mom, but even then I don't know if it was because I was pitiful. Izuku started explaining, letting tears flow through his eyes. Something in Tamura screamed at him to kill. He didn't know who, but he wanted to kill someone, anyone, for hurting his friend. No one deserves to be alone for most of their life. He knew that pain. He saw himself in Izuku's shoes, and it was eating at him to destroy the effing hell he called school. But even then, you were the first person to actually help me in more ways than one. You saved me from suicide, hanged out with me like a friend, worked with me to solve my weird quirk, and now you gave me a purpose, Tamura. Izuku smiled happily with tears flowing through. A purpose? Tamura repeated, now sure which purpose he was talking about. He was then hit with a feeling of a fiery determination that rivaled the sun, and it was warm despite the intensity. I will be a hero to the downtrodden, and I will make sure to save everyone who was left behind. Izuku's POV. Izuku was laying in bed after a long day with Tamura, and he was ecstatic about the skills he was searching through. I can do so much with these skills, the possibility of using weapons successfully, the magic involved, the stats that all my life I have ever dreamed of. The only problem was, Izuku had 1 skill point while Tamura had 32 points. Wait, 30 points. Either way, Tamura was stronger and more capable than him, even if he did get a power with his quirk. He needed a skill that would help him in the long run, and most likely will be activated all the time or if he desires it. Without stalling, checking every skill and its stats, effects, and descriptions, Izuku was about to give up and go to bed. However, when he taped on survival skill, his eyes were glued on the words EXP boost. This skill will add 10% EXP to your current EXP gain. Izuku thought about it for a second, working with all logic and reasoning to not choose this specific skill. We don't know how I leveled up, even then I'm not sure if Tamura can recreate what he has done to level me up. But on the other hand, if I do choose this, then I could level up faster, catching up to Tamura. I could have enough levels and skills by the time I enter UA. Fighting an eternal conflict with his mind, Midoriya made a choice and scrolled past that skill to his next skill choice. The last skill tree was something he wasn't sure he wanted to touch. It was the dark power, and Tamura warned him not to touch it. However, his curiosity was killing him, so he pressed it and instantly he recognized a useful skill. He knew Tamura would probably kill him, but in the end, this was his quirk, and he could kill himself anyways if he failed to make Tamura's promise in him fail. Would you like to learn Dark Shot? No mana required. Use 10% of your HP to focus dark power in the palm of your hand as you aim and fire it. It will grow stronger the more HP you have. Izuku Midoriya's POV. In the early morning of the city, an alarm clock started ringing off loudly. Waking up again from his pesky alarm clock that he wasn't used to, Izuku was greeted with another notification. Leveled up to LV3. A massive grin spread across Izuku's face as he stared at the giant notification in front of him. It took all his life and now progress was actually being made. He felt a bit disappointed, but with the fact that he actually had a friend helping him, made him more happier than anything else. Swiping his text options, Izuku made sure to tell Tamura his progress so far. He is the only person I can actually trust. Izuku Midoriya, I am level 3. Tenko Shimura, congrats kid, also 3? Izuku Midoriya, yes, whatever you did worked great. Tenko Shimura, I just did the same things I did yesterday, maybe it's EXP curve or the thing I did. Izuku Midoriya, is there a set EXP for something? Tenko Shimura, maybe like, thing 150 XP or something. Izuku Midoriya, so do you think last time I was really close to level 2? Tenko Shimura, that or the thing I did was better, meaning extra EXP this time. Izuku Midoriya, we maybe tell me what you did when we go to the cafe today. Tenko Shimura, sorry but something came up today so I can't visit today. Izuku Midoriya, oh that's okay, just focus on your thing. Tenko Shimura, thanks for understanding, maybe next week since I know I'm free. Izuku Midoriya, alright, I'm gonna study and check my skills. See, smiley face. Tenko Shimura, see you too Deku. With that conversation done, Izuku's good day was a little bit lonely. However, this gave Izuku the time to actually search through his skills again. There were too many skills to actually make him feel anxious if he was messing up in some way, but he knew what skill to get first. Tapping the survival skill tree, Izuku instantly searched for the skill that made him lost in his thoughts yesterday. Maybe I can finally catch up to Tamura. Would you like to learn EXP Boost? This is a passive skill with no activation needed. It will add 10% EXP gain to your current EXP gain. Satisfied with this skill, Izuku made sure to check the support and priest skill trees. If I am gonna use Dark Shot as my main attack, then I need a way to constantly get health quickly enough. Izuku searched through the priest skill tree first and recognized a decent skill, but he really didn't know what to think of it. Skill Blessing. Uses 100 mana, heals 5% HP every minute for 5 minutes. If I take it, it will only heal 25% of my HP, meaning 2 extra dark shots. However, the mana consumption will be a problem since I can basically only use this spell once a day. Checking the support skill, Izuku recognized another heal skill. Skill Mini Heal. Uses 100 mana, heals 10% HP instantly towards you or someone else. Now this skill is interesting but weaker than Blessing. It will instantly heal the damage I take from one dark shot or heal someone in a desperate situation. The problem is still that every skill takes 100 mana. Racking his brain, Izuku groaned and breathed a sigh of frustration. Who knew so much math was involved with my quirk? It's stupid. Going back to his survival skill, Izuku thought he saw something that also said HP in that skill tree, and he guessed he was right. Skill Battle Regen. This skill is passive, and will heal 1% HP every minute regardless of consciousness. Okay, this is better. I was never able to regenerate health when I was awake. I can actually use Dark Shot as much as I want, but it heals very slowly to use between 10 minutes each attack. Checking the math again, and all 3 skills pros and cons, Izuku made his pick. He needed to stay awake and safe without actually worrying about his injuries, and being a hero meant he couldn't waste time with cuts and bruises. Would you like to learn Battle Regen? This is a passive skill with no activation needed. It will heal 1% HP every minute regardless of consciousness. Taking a deep breath to calm himself from a very uncomfortable event, he spoke to himself again with a small smile. Is this what it feels like to make my own decisions? That rush was amazing, and I felt like I was in a hostage situation. Tapping his menu again, Izuku went to check on his stats. He hasn't put any points into his main stats, but he already knew what he needed as he tapped VIT 3 times, clicking OK. Izuku instantly noticed that his health bar went drastically low. So I gained an extra 75 HP, adding 15 defense, and if Tamura's corrections was correct, I should be able to take an actual punch from weaker bullies. I just have to avoid the heavy hitters, such as Kaken and the people who know how to fight. Going towards his character stat sheet, he examined everything he progressed so far. Izuku Midoriya LV3. 175 HP, 100 MP. Stats: CR 14, Dex 14, Int 14, Vit 17, Agi 14. Ability: RP, Fills 3. It doesn't seem like much, but Izuku actually felt proud of himself for the progress he has made so far. He wasn't powerful by any means, but the fact that he basically now has a good chance of actually making progress means he will be able to catch up with people who had years of training before him. I still need to test out these skills. Don't want to actually shoot off anything inside Mom's apartment. Searching through his computer, Izuku searched up many quirk training places and choked. Who the hell will pay that much money for a quirk gym? Instead of going for a gym, he instead checked the spots near his place, secluded with much open area and not many people in it. He knew the park, but there were too many bullies he knew that goes there which he wanted to avoid, and then there was the beach that was a landfill. Dagoba Beach, it's perfect. After packing up many water bottles and sandwiches for his lunch, Izuku bid his mother farewell and made his way towards the beach. Not many heroes patrolled the part of the city which he was grateful for. He really didn't want to be fined for quirk use in a public area that hasn't been used in forever. That would be a stupid reason since I basically just figured out how to use my quirk. Checking the beach, Izuku was right as nothing changed in the past years. The landfill was terrible as you couldn't even see the ocean from on top of the stairs. It was figuratively and literally a mountain of garbage. I'm starting to doubt my own decisions about this idea. Sighing, Izuku made his way towards the center of the landfill, making sure he was far enough away to not be spotted using his quirk to train. Examining all the trash, Izuku hummed to himself and grabbed his notebook from his inventory. I could actually use the metal and cloth from this garbage to give to Tamura. He could make more weapons and practice a lot more to make his blacksmith skill actually make a really fine weapon for me and him. Grabbing a few metals of different sizes and stuffing them in his inventory, Izuku then moved on to clothes, doing the same. The smell was unbearable, but he was hoping that maybe processing it and making it into weapons will get rid of the stench and germs. Tamura, you owe me big time. With his inventory now filled, Izuku made his way, grabbing a wooden board, placing it on the ground, leaning on brick and making a target symbol with a marker on it. Taking about 20 meters of space between him and the board, Izuku took a deep breath, quickly regretting it for the smell. That stench, I need to finish this quickly. Checking his health, he was glad that Battle Regen worked and healed all his HP back when he put those points in. Raising his arm, holding it to his best ability to aim at the board, Izuku quickly yelled one word. Dark shot. Black glowing veins enveloped his arm as it started concentrating in the center of his palm. Noticing, Izuku looked at the small timer at the side and gasped. 5 seconds cast time. That's too long. Once the cast time finished, a beam of black energy shot out from his hand. It was fast as a bullet as it impacted the board. Amazing! Immediately a second later, Izuku clutched his heart and coughed up blood, throwing it up on the sand. Looking up, Izuku noticed a small notification appear. -17 DMG, 157 HP, sheet that actually hurts a lot. Taking deep breaths, Izuku made sure to see if he was actually coughing up more blood. So it is just a reaction, knowing that it is dangerous. It won't actually harm me unless I push it to the final limit. Wiping blood from his mouth, Izuku made his way over to the board and examined the obvious damage. There was a gaping hole on the far side of the board the size of a shotgun shell, meaning he hit the board but missed the target he was aiming for inside the circle. It is super powerful, but I need to make sure to spend points on dexterity. 5 seconds is a long time in a fight, as the person could have dodged behind cover or came at me. Also, this is a still target as actual people are able to move, meaning my shot would have missed anyways. Satisfied with his conclusion, Izuku made his way back towards his position. Glad that his HP was regenerating despite the major damage he has taken, Izuku raised his hand again and took aim. I need to get used to the self-inflicted damage because I can't stall in the middle of battle, and I have to improve my aim myself because I can't rely on my quirk to improve my aim all the time. Taking another chance, Izuku raised his arm again and yelled his attack. Dark shot. After a whole day's worth of practice, regeneration breaks, and scavenging for items, Izuku was satisfied with himself for the progress of his quirk. Nobody interrupted him, and he was glad he actually trained with his quirk. Dark shot doesn't nearly hurt as it did at the start. It is still painful, but I cannot stall like I did when I started. Izuku also wrote down his score points for aiming at the target he was firing at, and he was proud of his progress so far. I can't believe I actually hit the target 20 times out of 30, and 2 of those shots were actually bullseyes. Izuku couldn't stop the massive grin on his face, not really caring if he scared off a few people with his dirty look. Yes, he was dirty and needed a bath, but as the teachers always told him, getting dirty will toughen me up. Izuku hated that quote, but he must admit that it was true to some extent. Making his way towards his home, he heard a garbage can fall in the alley next to him. Taking a peek and investigating, Izuku saw a girl with messy blonde hair in 2 buns in it digging in the trash can. The girl then noticed his presence and froze in fear of being caught. "Hi," the girl spoke, raising her hands as if she wasn't just digging through trash. Himiko Toga LV3. 83 100 HP 100 MP. Ability, Transform. Skills, none. Izuku's POV. Hi. A blonde-haired girl waved nervously. Izuku blinked once and then twice, raising his hand hesitantly, speaking, "Hi." Both teenagers stared at each other for what felt like eternity until the girl finally spoke. "What has you here so late at night?" "It's evening." Izuku spoke, pointing at the sun. "Why is it so hard to talk to a girl?" "Huh, so it is. I'll just go home and rest. Nice to meet you." The girl spoke, carrying a strained smile. Izuku didn't know why, but he wanted to know why she was desperate enough to dig in the trash. "Are you okay?" Izuku asked softly, inching towards her. "What do you mean?" Toga spoke in an attempt to act oblivious. Do you need some food?" Izuku asked nervously in an attempt to show kindness. "Excuse me?" Toga asked, dumbfounded by the sudden offer. "I said, do you need some food? I actually was heading to a local pizza place and I could give you some." Izuku smiled, knowing he changed plans from going home to shower. Thank you." The girl spoke, walking towards him. Izuku didn't know how to feel, but he knew he had to at least understand Toga's situation before assuming the worst. Though, what do I do if it is the worst situation? The girl was almost towards him when she suddenly stilled and sniffed the air. Izuku, now realizing why she was sniffing, held up his hands in case she tried to argue with him. "I'm sorry if I stink, I was just cleaning the beach and dash. You smell like blood." The girl interrupted, raising her voice slightly. "Oh, that's part of my quirk. Sorry if the scent is strong. Izuku apologized, rubbing his neck shyly and putting up a plastic grin. Your Quirk? The girl asked, and Izuku noticed her pupils dilating into the shape of a predator. Wait, her Quirk? Excuse me, Toga Ash. Izuku didn't get to finish as the girl suddenly charged at him. Izuku was just too slow for her speed as he was pinned to the ground with Toga looming over him. Looking at the girl in fear, it soon disappeared when it was replaced with shock staring at her face. The girl was crying as she still had the eyes of a predator, but Izuku could tell she was trying to fight her instincts but soon spoke. I'm sorry. Before Izuku could protest, the girl chomped on Izuku's neck, making Izuku spasm in pain. He could feel the girl drinking his blood, as his HP was ticking down and making Izuku fear for his life. -3 DMG, -4 DMG, -5 DMG. Izuku suddenly pushed the girl off him with as much strength as possible, taking a gasp of air clutching his throat. Looking up, he saw a new notification he hasn't seen before. Status bleed, unable to cast 57 seconds. Looking at Toga, she was in a ball, crying, trying to comfort herself as in her own arms, muttering words. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. After the bleed timer ran out, Izuku checked his bite marks and wiped his neck to find it regenerated already. Sighing in relief of surviving a near-death experience, Izuku stared at the girl still crying on the ground. I really hate my big heart. A normal person would have ran away calling for help, declaring her a villain, but Izuku wasn't normal. What Izuku saw wasn't a villain but a scared teenager with an unstable quirk that needs blood. She needs help, I have to do something. Crawling towards the girl, Izuku clutched her hand, making the girl flinch and stare at him in horror. Izuku gave a shaky smile, wiping his hand on his throat, removing the blood to show the bite marks were gone. It's okay, I am here safe and sound. How? I bit your throat? I literally essayed the blood out of you like a demon. Toga spoke, holding her mouth in horror. Yeah, my throat has part regeneration. Izuku chuckled weakly, unsure if she was still stable and may attack him again. Looking at his health, he saw he had 24 HP left and doubted he could survive another attack. I'm so sorry for doing that to you. Toga cried, now backing away in fear of losing control again. Hey, it is okay. I understand why you did it. Izuku sighed, leaning against a wall, giving the girl enough space between the both of them. You do? The girl asked fearfully. Yes, your quirk requires you to drink blood, correct? Izuku asked softly, thinking of reasons why she needed blood at all. Her quirk is transformed, so maybe it needs DNA? Toga looked at him carefully and sighed in defeat before speaking. Well, I did almost kill you, and an explanation is the least I can do. Izuku watched as Toga thought for a moment and started explaining why she needed blood. My quirk is to transform into people, but the requirement needs me to drink blood. She watched Midoriya carefully as she was surprised he actually was paying attention to her story. I am sorry for hurting you, but after so long without blood, it was driving me crazy. Midoriya sighed and spoke to her softly. Do you want some more later? She was influenced by her quirk, she isn't a bad person. Toga stared dumbfoundedly at the boy, tilting her head. Excuse me? Midoriya scratched his cheek slightly and spoke up his idea. It seems you aren't a bad person, and I don't mind giving you blood as long as you don't hurt people. Toga chuckled and stared at Midoriya, softly speaking to him. I almost killed you and you're offering me to finish you off? You're weird. Midoriya chuckled before speaking. I get that a lot, so do you have anywhere to live? Toga debated on telling him and spoke up. Yes, I have somewhere to live. I just don't have anything to eat. That's good at least. Now let's go get that pizza and talk about everything that happened so far. Izuku spoke as he got off the floor, extending his hand out and smiling at the young woman. Toga stared at the hand, and the smiling boy connected to it and reached out herself in awe. If I am to be a hero like Shigaraki said, then I have to help one person at a time. Izuku's POV 15 minutes later. Izuku and Toga made their way to the local pizza shop, with Izuku making sure to clean off the remaining blood. After ordering and sitting down, Izuku sighed and stared at a nervous Toga looking anywhere but him. Toga? Izuku called out softly. Yes. She replied nervously. Are you okay? Izuku asked politely. I'm sorta on the run. Honestly, I thought I was just gonna walk in and then out. Toga admitted nervously, scratching her cheek. Really? What for? Izuku asked, now interested in why she was running away. Need to learn more about her if I want to help her. I know you weren't the first person I dash. She didn't finish her sentence and gestured to her neck. Izuku suddenly realized and spoke quietly. Are they? I know she is a good person. It isn't her fault. Toga shook her head and spoke quietly. I believe he is okay. Izuku sighed in relief and spoke to her gently. I believe you didn't intend to do it on purpose. I won't think any less of you if the worst did happen. Even I know accidents happen, she would probably be punished, but she won't be locked away if she did admit that it was an influence of her quirk. Toga stared at him shocked as tears welled up in her eyes. Thank you. Your pizza has arrived and have a nice date. A waitress arrived dropping off the pizza, winking at Midoriya, making him blush. It isn't a dash. Thank you, miss. Toga grinned, enjoying the look of embarrassment on him. Traitor. With the waitress gone, Izuku sighed and glared at Toga, pouting. You're mean. Sorry, I'm just trying to lighten this tense mood. Toga smiled softly, now taking a bite of her pizza. Izuku couldn't help but smile also, eating his pizza. The two teenagers decided to not talk about heavy topics and just. Izuku learned that Toga was an older sister, loved the color red, and loved girl stuff. If Izuku didn't know she was basically unstable on the inside, he would have mistaken her for an average middle schooler. Is this what everyone at school feels like when they have friends? After leaving the restaurant and into an alleyway, Toga and Izuku stopped and stared at each other before speaking. So Toga, do you want to hang out again sometime? Izuku's eyes closed, ready for her to reject him, but it never came. Opening his eyes, Toga was just staring fondly at him before speaking. Sure, just wish I had a phone again. You don't have a phone? Izuku asked, kinda surprised since most teenagers had phones. Well, it's not like I had a chance to run home and take it again. Toga admitted nervously. Well, I can use my quirk if you want. It has free texting, Izuku suggested, staring at a confused person. Oh right, I need to explain my quirk to her. Your quirk? What does it do? Toga asked. She was interested in Izuku's special ability, if it could have regeneration. No idea of its full capabilities, but here is what I know. Izuku started explaining his quirk, and Toga was actually impressed so far as she spoke up. It actually sounds fun. I am not a full gamer, but I played 2 RPG games. Toga admitted, now nervous yet excited. Want to join my party? Izuku held up his hand towards Toga, waiting for her response. Yes, Toga agreed, happily shaking his hand. Himiko, Toga has joined your party. Tenko Shimura, who the F is this? Waking up, Izuku was met with another notification for him, making him smile more. Leveled up to LV4. Not wasting a second, Izuku went to his chat and started typing. Izuku, Midoriya, I leveled up again. Himiko, Toga, me too. Also, it is weird waking up to a giant text screen. Tenko Shimura, that's great, narrowed it down to a few options and will let you know by the end of the week. Izuku, Midoriya, thank you so much. Himiko, Toga, want to visit the park today, Izuku? Izuku, Midoriya, sorry, but I want to go to the beach to train my body. Himiko, Toga, training? Izuku, Midoriya, yeah, have to get in shape for UA if I want to make Tamura proud. Tenko Shimura, yeah, you're pretty much a twig, so this should have been an obvious thing from the start. Himiko, Toga, when can I meet Tenko? Izuku, Midoriya, call him Tamura, he is adopted and this quirk basically requires you to be a millionaire to change a name. Tenko Shimura, exactly, also will be coming by next week so we can finally meet in person. Izuku, Midoriya, want to meet at the beach then, Toga? Himiko, Toga, sure, also this free texting is really handy. Tenko Shimura, tell me about it. Smiling softly out the thought of not having one but two friends made Izuku really happy and wished to treasure this memory for many years of his life. Putting on his shoes, Izuku made his way down the stairs when suddenly a voice stopped him. Izuku! Turning towards the voice was his mother, who spoke angrily. Why did you do it? Excuse me? Izuku asked nervously, not knowing what his mother was on about. I saw your room and I want to know why you took down all the All Might stuff and decided to throw them away. His mother asked, pointing at the trash bag filled with all his All Might merchandise. Did you even know how much those things cost and how much money I paid for those stuff? His mother ranted angrily as Izuku did feel bad about wasting his hard-earned money and throwing it away. Mom, you think it is funny to throw away all my money? I know I didn't raise a spoiled child, so what do you think you're doing, young man? Are you wasteful? I'm sure Katsuki would appreciate these more than you. Inko spoke, glaring at him. Izuku was having an internal panic attack and he didn't know why. He just wanted to not see All Might's face again, judging him silently, saying he can't be a hero. He knew his mother could go on rants, but it was never directed at him before and he felt pain in his heart. She also brought Kaken into this and Izuku felt sick at being compared to his tormentor and he just felt like spilling everything out because he kept it all in. I can't hurt Mom's relationship with Auntie. I just wanted to give these to Kaken and didn't have a bag to carry them all in. He is a big All Might fan, so I'm sure he will take care of them. Izuku explained, hoping his mother doesn't rant again. She eyed him for what felt like hours, searching for a trace of lie, until she turned and started walking away, speaking. 14 years of this and he finally gives up. What a waste of money. Izuku felt hurt by the way his mother was speaking about him, and he wanted to be mad and yell back, but she had every right to be angry. 14 years of asking for expensive merchandise and I just give it away. I do seem like a spoiled brat. Grabbing the bag and walking towards Kaken's place, Izuku thought to himself one final moment, leaving a sour taste in his mouth. She didn't even ask why I felt like giving them away. After dropping off the merch to Mizura with thankfully Kaken not home to bother him, Izuku made his way towards Trash Beach and was surprised to see Himiko was there, already messing with a broken mirror, fixing her hair. Noticing him, Himiko smiled and dashed straight into his face, surprising him. Midoriya. They have so much stuff here that it is insane what people throw away. I found a nice mirror and some old appliances. Izuku smiled at her enthusiasm and spoke. It is amazing, right? I actually called some of these items and tossed them in my inventory. We have an inventory? Toga asked, tilting her head. Yeah, you can basically just dump most stuff in there, but if you want more space then you need to pay the Quirk. Izuku explained, going into his inventory and pulling out the katana Shigaraki made for him. That's so cool. I would definitely be using that. Oh wait, can you teach me how to use your Quirk? Himiko asked, giving him a soft smile and irresistible puppy eyes. Too cute. Sure, and I'm just barely learning my Quirk, so I'll teach you what I know now. Izuku explained, getting on his own menu and teaching her the basics of what stuff means. I see, so stats increase based on what I choose, and I have 4 skill points since I'm level 4, correct? Himiko explained, making Izuku see that she was a pretty smart girl. Correct? You have to choose carefully as I don't know if you can reset skill points. Speaking of skill points, I actually have one, so I need to pick a skill real quick while you can read over what you want. Izuku explained, with Himiko nodding excitedly as he stared at her eyes. Izuku was amazed with how she was reading blank air like a book. Getting back to his own task, Izuku already knew the next skills he wanted but wasn't sure what to pick first. However, he still wanted to put his stat in vitality. 200 HP. Starting at the first skill, Izuku debates on whether to get another attack skill such as the Dark Section skill Blood Blade. Use 10% of your HP to make a blade and attack your enemy for 2 minutes, increasing damage. Time increases with more int. Izuku really wanted a close-range attack, but then he remembered that Shigaraki was able to craft weapons. Sending a quick text, Izuku hoped Shigaraki was able to make more than just a katana. Izuku: Midoriya? Quick question, can you make more than just a katana? Tenko Shimura: yes, I can basically grate most weapons on the skill lists. Izuku: Midoriya, can you make me a gauntlet and shield? Tenko Shimura. Yes, but they may be weak. I can make better stuff but need a lot of things to process and need an idea of what stats you're looking for. Izuku Midoriya. Stats? Tenko Shimura. That katana I gave you has stats. It is weak but boosts up agility by +2. Izuku Midoriya. I didn't notice that. Will have anything for Vit and Dex? Tenko Shimura. Just checked and there is a decent gauntlet in my opinion called Dragon Claws. +5 Dex and +10 Strength should be good enough to last for a few months. Izuku Midoriya and Shield? Tenko Shimura. I guess Drake's Shield? +10 Vit and +2 Agi also has fire resistant. Izuku Midoriya. How come a shield makes me faster? Tenko Shimura. Ikkyu Quirk is weird. Izuku Midoriya. True, thanks. Tenko Shimura. No problem. Deciding that he didn't need a close-range spell that cost HP, he decided to check out 2 passive spells he has been eyeing. Checking the assassin skill Izuku reread the description of the skill Foresight. You now have a 25% chance to have a keen sense of danger, making you auto-dodge. This is a great skill to have in case of a random attack or a gunshot. If I take a page from Sir Naitai's skills, then I could have a chance to counter as well. Checking the other skill Izuku saw was another survival skill. Health limit. You have 2 times your normal health. This skill will just double my health and actually give me a chance to survive fatal injuries like Toga yesterday. Deciding on the main goal for his quirk, Izuku made sure he wasn't going to die easily and be unkillable as long as possible. Would you like to learn health limit? This is a passive skill with no activation needed. You will gain 2 times your normal health points. Staring at his health, Izuku was surprised in awe at how much HP he has gained. 400 HP. That is so much HP. Wonder what type of injuries I can survive. Looking at Toga, she was just staring at him innocently with a huge smile on her face. See, you learned a new skill, Mutterbrain. Oh, how long was I out? Izuku asks sheepishly, berating himself for making Toga wait. Not long. Want to know what I learned? Toga asked, standing in the middle of a junk pile. Sure. Do you need a testing zone because I set one up in the middle of this trash field? Izuku asked, getting up from his spot. Yeah, that should work. Let's go see what I can do. Toga cheered with Izuku smiling, leading the way. In the middle of the test zone, Izuku waited patiently as Toga was messing with her menu and started getting into a weird stance. What stance is that? Izuku asked, not sure what Toga was doing. One that I made up because it makes me look cool. Now shut up. Toga ordered when Izuku suddenly noticed her feet start to glow when suddenly she started dancing in a triumphant way that made Izuku awestruck and remind him this was in fact a girl, making him blush. A glow aura appeared on Izuku and was amazed that he had a buff to increase +5 Agi for 15 minutes. That is way too useful. What did you do, Toga? Izuku asked to take out his journal and write already. I just picked the skill in the dance section called Elegant Cheer, but it took all my mana. Himiko explained, making Izuku stop and stare at the girl. Is the mana regenerating? Izuku asked with the girl shaking her head. No, which is why I got the skill, Mana Recharge, as it instantly restores 100 mana again. Toga explained as Izuku remembered that particular skill. He wanted to take Mana Recharge for himself, but it was too scared that he might not level up again. If Shigaraki could get me a few more levels and I save up skill points, then I could finally cast real magic. Mana Recharge. Toga spoke loudly, snapping Izuku out of his head and towards the girl. She was growing a bright green glow and had a magical circle on her feet. That's amazing. Izuku called in awe. Not really, because I can't move and am stuck in this recharge mode for 3 minutes. Toga explained, making Izuku pale at the cast time. That is way too long. In a fight you are basically vulnerable. Izuku yelled in Toga's face, making her wince. Tell me about it. I'm pretty sure a guy can do a lot of stuff with my body in the span of 3 minutes. Toga admitted, nervously struggling to move to no avail. That SCKS, what are the other skills you have chosen? Izuku asked, passing the time for the girl. I picked some dagger skills, so next level I'm going to try and be a blacksmith and make a knife. Toga explained, making Izuku perk up at saving a potential skill even though it isn't his own. No need, Tamura can make you a knife, because he is already making me a gauntlet and shield. Izuku explained, making the girl feel better about not wasting a skill. Thanks, though I need some help real quick. Toga asked, making Izuku excited to help a friend. What do you need? Izuku asked with a wide smile on his face. Can you drag me to the bathroom? Toga asked shyly. I hate cast time. Opening his eyes, Izuku smiled as he stared at the giant notification box hovering above him. I'm never gonna get used to this, but it isn't unwanted. Leveled up to LV7. Closing the notification, Izuku sat up and stretched out, feeling refreshed thanks to Regan always working. Ever since he met Shigaraki, Izuku felt like he took his quirk for granted. He was always trying to improve his quirk, and when that never happened he started disliking it. Now he could say he appreciated the small details and abilities this quirk provides now that he was in a better mood. I'm never in pain when I'm at full health, have a pocket dimension for items, and have a real texting system. Opening said texting system, Izuku started typing to his two friends he grew to like. Izuku Midoriya, hello. Himiko Toga, Huo. Oh. Tenko Shimura, I can tell I already hate you, and we haven't met yet. Himiko Toga, oh, you're gonna love me. Izuku Midoriya, anyway, ready to meet Shigaraki today, Toga? Himiko Toga, Tenko Shimura, I'm not, but I did promise you last week. Izuku Midoriya, also question. Tenko Shimura, shoot. Himiko Toga, don't shoot the sunshine child. Tenko Shimura, I'm not, but keep testing me and I might have someone to actually shoot. Izuku Midoriya, figured what you did today? I'm level 7 now, which is a huge boost from level 4. Himiko Toga, what? I'm level 6. Tenko Shimura, I'm close, just narrowed it down to 3 possibilities. Himiko Toga, want to tell us? Tenko Shimura, maybe when we go to the cafe so I can explain it better. Izuku Midoriya, alright, see you later. Himiko Toga, bye. Getting dressed, Izuku went to eat breakfast and saw a sticky note on the fridge. Off to work, please clean the house and make sure to cook dinner for when I get back. Simple enough, though wonder what I'm gonna do for dinner. Izuku muttered, wanting to cook his favorite meal. Though mom has been getting sick of katsudon, so maybe something different. Izuku decided to put those worries aside for later and made some quick sandwiches for Himiko and Shigaraki. Wonder what kind of snacks they both like. Finishing the sandwiches and tossing them in his inventory, Izuku ate and went back to his room to check his new possible skills. Checking, he immediately smiled as he stared at the menu, noticing something new. Menu. Character items. Settings. Stats, inventory, UI. Skills, cache chat. Armor, production, sound. Character? Seeing a new option for the first time since he got the quirk, Izuku immediately smiled and tapped the button, revealing 3 slots. The first saying equipped, the second saying create, and the last saying wait till level. So I got this one possibly at level 5 and have to wait 15 more levels for the next slot? Curious, he tapped the create option and immediately he disappeared from his room without a trace. Himiko sighed as she was bored out of her mind, staring at the sky. While she could do something new like find a new dress to rob or a dead bird to feast on, she knew none of those compared to the boy she was waiting to meet. Where the hell is he? It's past the meeting time and I'm starting to get worried. Looking away from the sky, Himiko stared at the beach and saw the clear spot Midoriya has been working on for the week. While she could understand training a quirk, she couldn't understand why Midoriya also wanted to clean the beach itself. Maybe he is just that pure of a kid, or he is a clean freak. Hello. A familiar voice called out, startling her from her thoughts. Oh, Midoriya, I dash. Himiko turned around to not see the familiar green-haired boy she knew, but a different person entirely. In front of her stood a boy with long, fluffy black hair covering one of his eyes. The other eye she could see was pure ruby red, and this person had a more sharp facial expression. He wore a black plain t-shirt showing his kind of pale, as overall he looked sickly. Wonder what he wants. Sorry, who? The boy asked, tilting his head sideways. Sorry, your voice just reminded me of someone. Himiko apologized, staring at him closely. I swear he looks familiar like Midoriya, wonder if he has cousins. It's fine, I was wondering if I could ask you a question. The boy smiled towards her devilishly. Himiko didn't like that smile as she reached for the small pocket knife in her skirt carefully for any surprises from this person. What's the question? Himiko asked, slightly aggressive towards the stranger. I was wondering if you happen to know if this is Dagoba Beach. I'm supposed to meet a friend here. The stranger stuttered, backing away slowly, sweating a lot. Yes, this is the beach. Who are you meeting? Himiko asked, fishing for information before she did something stupid. This could be Midoriya's cousin and he didn't tell me for some reason. Oh, I'm meeting an amazing blonde girl with a cool quirk and possibly dangerous personality. If she knew I was playing a joke on her, so please don't kill me. I am Izuku Midoriya. The boy spoke quickly, bending down and apologizing a lot. What? Was all Himiko could say from such a reaction. The boy looked up at her shyly, smiling as he spoke. It's me, Izuku, and like the new look toga? So let me get this straight, you decided it was a brilliant idea to prank me? Even with the fact that last time I SCK'd most of your HP dry. His blonde female friend scolded with Izuku kneeling before her on the sandy beach in apology. Yes. Izuku admitted, questioning if he was gonna get let off the hook. Himiko sighed as she knelt down, placing a hand on his hair and smiled softly. You are lucky you're too good be mad at. So I'm let off the hook? Izuku asked nervously towards his friend. Nope, now you have to wait for me to design my character too. Himiko smirked, getting close to him. You want to make a character right now? Why? Izuku asked his friend curiously. Remember, I am on the run. If I get caught, then I have to go to jail for attempted murder. Himiko sighed, looking down in shame. I see, I understand why she is scared, and she has no proof that this was a result of her quirk desires. It's okay, I'm sure we can figure something out, but if you want to start over, then this may be the best way to start. Izuku replied, patting his friend's back. You're too kind, Izuku, and I'm glad to have a friend like you. Himiko smiled, hugging her friend softly. Same here, so want to discuss character customization now? Or do you want to wing it while I just check on my skills? Izuku asked nervously, breaking contact from the nice hug he was getting. Let's discuss it now. Is there anything different about you? Himiko asked, admiring the edgy look Izuku was going for. Oh, it will use your base model as an example of where to start, so you won't need to start from scratch. Izuku answered happily, getting on a nice conversation about his quirk. I see, and will it tell me what I'm able to change? Himiko asked, smiling and seeing an all too familiar smile from the boy. At least his personality doesn't change. It will, and you don't have to worry about your stats changing at all, and it may take a bit for you to get used to walking on a different balance compared to your usual body. Izuku explained as he pointed out the after effects. How do you know? Himiko asked curiously. Added 3 inches to my height and I instantly tripped during the first steps. Izuku answered as Toga finally noticed he was the same height as her. Where does the added matter come from? I see, I'll try right now and leave you to use your skill points. Himiko spoke, turning to look at Izuku, smiling softly at her as he nodded in approval. Should I ask, or maybe just this one for his opinion? Hey Izuku? Himiko asked, gaining the attention of the boy again. Yes, Himiko? Izuku answered. What color do you think suits a lady's hair? Himiko teased, striking a beautiful pose for the pure BI, lifting her skirt slightly. Dada, maybe pink or brown? Izuku spoke nervously, looking away. It's so fun to tease him. Thanks. Himiko smirked, getting the reaction she wanted while also finding a good color palette that Izuku thinks admires a girl. She suddenly disappeared, leaving Izuku a gasp of fresh air as he will never get used to Himiko's playfulness. Time to see what skills I want. Opening her eyes, Himiko saw that she was in a closed dark room with just a single mirror on the wall. Well, this is creepy. She muttered to herself as she suddenly realized there was no light source anywhere to be found, yet she could clearly see her skin bright as day. She tried summoning her menu but found she couldn't summon it, and saw the only thing intractable in the room was possibly the mirror. Do I place my hand on the mirror? Gender. Facial hair. Body hair. Others. Placing her hand on the mirror, it suddenly showed an array of possible customization options, and Himiko contemplated on where to start. Let's start from the top. She immediately pressed gender and found out there were only 3 options. Do I want to be a male, female, or genderless? Immediately pressing male, she felt her body suddenly shift in many places, and staring in the mirror she had slightly shorter hair, no BRT and less butt. Reaching for her nether regions, she gasped as she felt something stiff that wasn't there before. Wonder if Izuku tried to switch genders too. I'm so totally gonna try being a boy later, and maybe I can convince Izuku to play with me as a female. Himiko smirked, changing back into a girl, feeling her bursts come back and losing her new little friend just as quickly. Wonder what hair is? As she pressed the options to find a huge array of options compared to the gender selection. Maybe I want my hair a little longer, or more straight, yeah that's nice. Himiko smiled, seeing her hair grow longer and untied, reaching to her lower back. Change it to half pink and half brown, with little streaks of white to make it cuter, and yes it works. Himiko smiled, seeing all her hair change to a split color of pink and dark brown with few white streaks. Eyes next. She cheered as more different options showed up. She kinda liked her cat eyes but wanted to not be recognizable, so she picked small regular pupils instead. Let's pick brown and pink just as well. Himiko muttered, changing her yellow eyes to a dark pink as well for a heterochromia style. Looking at her ears, she decided to skip that option and move on to her teeth. Locked due to ability. F-. Himiko sighed in frustration, really wanting to get rid of her sharp vampire teeth. It's fine, might as well do my best to impress Izuku. Himiko muttered to herself. She suddenly blushed as she thought about what she just said. Why do I want to impress Izuku so much? Shaking her head, she decided to leave her BRST the same as well as leave her limbs the same length too. You facial hair and body hair on a girl, no thank you. Himiko chuckled, moving on to the last options. Do I want to customize a tattoo on myself? Himiko murmured to herself. No, Izuku doesn't seem like the type to admire tattoos. Clicking others, she was instantly startled when the system removed her clothes, with many options showing up. I can add other cool features? Do I want fur? Wings? Tails? So many options. Himiko admired, trying out most of what she thought was cute. Nah, maybe another time, I am keeping Izuku waiting. Himiko sighed, happily accepting her new look. Suddenly a notification popped up saying, "Insert name for character model." Himiko thought carefully about what she should name herself once she accepted this as her new identity and typed down her answer. Himiko has created Neapolitan avatar. Eyeing his skills, Izuku sighed, thinking of what to pick for his last skill points. Looking back at his first 2 choices, he didn't regret them. Foresight. You now have a 25% chance to have a keen sense of danger, making you auto-dodge. Parry. You now have a 25% chance to ward off excess damage. Will reduce DMG too, so these 2 skills combined gives me around 42 to 47% chance of survivability. If the first skill fails, then the other one can still give me a chance of survival. Izuku muttered as he calculated the math again. Looking at his skills again, Izuku sighed as he was stuck with another 2 options. Do I want more health and agility or more survivability? Picking carefully, Izuku decided to focus on his main goals so far. Health and speed are my priorities. Would you like to learn enhanced breathing? This is a passive skill with no activation needed. You will gain 100 health points, 100 mana points, and plus 5 agility. Moving on to his stats, he decided to put his first 2 free points into vitality as he noticed he was now getting 50 HP points instead of his usual, must be the 2 times health skill. His last point, he decided to try and work up his dexterity since he has enough HP already and needed to work on cast time and landing his shots. Looking at his stats, he can clearly see the difference in his stats already from when he first started. To think I come so far. Izuku Midoriya LV7. 600 HP, 200 MP. Stats. 13. Dex. 15. Int, 14. 20. Agi, 19. Ability, RP. Skills, 7. This is amazing. And I have enough defense from vitality to possibly take a bat or crowbar easily. Especially with parry and foresight, meaning I could have a 50% chance to survive or dodge a gunshot. Izuku smiled happily, bouncing around in excitement. Please don't test that possibility ever. A female voice startled him. Turning around, he was greeted with a pink and brown-haired girl with few white streaks. The only thing that wasn't changed about Himiko was possibly her skin and teeth, but if anyone compared her now to when he saw her 10 minutes ago, then he would have never guessed this was the same person. How do I look, Zuku? Himiko teased, striking a CC cute pose towards him. Izuku had no words as something wet started leaking from his nose. Status bleed, unable to cast for 59 seconds. Walking into the cafe, Himiko immediately admired the cats and started picking a few up. Izuku followed shortly behind her, wiping the remaining blood from his nose from the sudden reaction to seeing Himiko's Neapolitan avatar. Scanning around, he could see Shigaraki sitting at an empty table, too busy playing a video game to notice their arrival. Hey Shigaraki, we are here. Izuku called out happily towards him. Hold on Deku, let me just finish this boss real quick. Tamura spoke, smashing buttons on his handheld console. This is your friend? Himiko asked as Izuku noticed she had a cat on her head. Yep, he is very passionate about video games. Izuku answered, sitting across from his friend with Himiko sitting next to him. Yes. Tamura cheered, doing a victory pose. Izuku could see he just beat a weird block game, but chose to ignore it by starting a convention. Having fun, Shigaraki? Izuku asked, giving him a soft smile. Yep, beat an Ender Dragon. Tamura smiled, shutting off his controller and setting it aside. Looking at his face, Izuku could tell Shigaraki was definitely feeling the regeneration part of his quirk. Many of the dry skin and wrinkles around Tamura's face and neck subsided, and the noticeable scar on his lips and eye was less noticeable but still kind of permanent for him. No idea what game that is, but we should play it sometime. Izuku replied happily. We should, and take it this is the new friend you made? Tamura asked, scanning Himiko carefully for some reason. Yep, and we already texted you how we met, so we can just skip to you two talking to each other. Izuku explained nervously, seeing if they like each other or not. Both Tamura and Himiko glared at each other as they scanned for anything suspicious that Izuku wasn't aware of. Hope this wasn't a mistake. The stare-off lasted about a whole minute until Tamura decided to ask a question. What's your favorite game? Bloodborne. Himiko suddenly answered with a smirk on her face. You strike me more as a BioShock player, but Bloodborne is still a good game. Tamura spoke as he casually smiled at the girl. What just happened? Izuku suddenly spoke in a confused mindset. Die. A mysterious figure suddenly spoke as he finished off the last victim in the alleyway. Taking a deep breath, the mystery figure then turned towards the bloodbath he caused and sighed in disappointment. This is no fun, I want a real challenge. The person growled in frustration. Turning towards a half-broken radio, the person grabbed it and started messing with the dials. Come on, give me a target, and not for some half-but running city. The figure growled in disappointment. N.T. The radio started to break until the man smacked it hard enough for it to make a complete sentence. And the water hose duo managed. Stop another villain. Will their capture streak? Water hose, huh? Actually, it's been a while since I killed a hero, maybe I should pay them a visit soon. The figure stood up and started walking away, crushing ahead purposely. Wouldn't want their winning streaks to be broken by someone else. The person muttered as he grinned menacingly. Izuku was still confused at how quickly Tamura and Himiko got along so well, but he wasn't complaining. In fact, it made him happy as he finally had an actual friend group, and he wanted to keep them around as long as possible. It's probably selfish of me, but I don't want them to leave me. Hey Deku, what's your favorite game actually? Tamura asked, suddenly surprising him. Oh, I go for the classics, like Pokemon, preferably Generation 1. Izuku answered happily by joining the conversation. Oh, Pokemon is a good choice, I like the cute ones like Zubat. Himiko smiled, showing her fangs. Both Tamura and Izuku shuddered in painful memories as Tamura muttered out. "MP Moon was in butt." Agreed. Izuku nodded, picturing Zubats at every step he took in the game. "Okay, I'm glad we got to meet, but it is almost time to go." Tamura spoke, checking his phone again. "Already? It's barely been 30 minutes and I did most of the talking." Himiko whined in frustration. "That's how it is, we usually spend an hour or two here. However, soon I can spend more time here if I talk to my folks." Tamura smiled as he drank his coffee. "That's great, which reminds me. Tamura, what levels us up? Been trying to get some practice in with my quirk." Izuku asked, making Tamura pause and sigh. Tamura suddenly started going through the invisible menu as he spoke. "Been meaning to tell you, but you wouldn't like the outcome." "But what is it?" Izuku asked nervously. "You have to drink rare alcohol, wine, or a certain drink specifically to level up from the 3 options I have." Tamura spoke, suddenly stopping his menu motion. "Rare alcohol, then that means—" Izuku suddenly turned towards the blonde girl as she stared at the table in shock. "I will be right back." Toga suddenly spoke with a frown on her face, heading towards the restroom. "Himiko y-." Izuku tried calling to her. Leave me alone for a bit, please." Himiko spoke suddenly with tears in her eyes. "All right, just know that I don't judge you." Izuku spoke, giving her a small smile. "Thanks, means a lot." Himiko smiled back half-heartedly, rushing towards the restrooms. Izuku and Tamura waited for the girl to calm down, with the former worried sick for her. "I can understand her having to drink during her terrible time in the streets, so I won't judge her, I'll help her. I should have known, I was an idiot." Himiko muttered to herself, checking her notification Tamura sent her. Himiko stared at the message in sorrow as she knew it was always a possibility, but to actually have it confirmed was another statement. "I killed him." "Tenko Shimura, don't tell Deku about this, but the real reason we level up is because we are both murderers." At home, Izuku sighed in worried depression as he made his way towards his bedroom. "How do I cheer up Himiko?" he asked himself, seeing as the girl didn't want to speak to him when she left the restroom and cafe altogether. He knew why she resorted to drinking, as given her family life, problems with Quirk, and living by herself someplace that Izuku suspects isn't real. In honesty, it was bound to be a problem, and a problem that Himiko regretted. He wanted to show that he cared for her with more than words, but didn't know a solution as to how. Drinks? Snacks? What do girls like? Think back to his previous conversations with the girl. He tried to recall many of the things that they talked about. She likes cute things, red, and a fan of some games involving blood. Thinking back to his first encounter, she needed blood desperately, but with the fact that she was holding herself back meant that she wasn't enjoying it. However, if I gave her blood willingly, then maybe she would like it more. Having a solution, Izuku accessed his inventory as he took out a bunch of medical supplies and a broken metal gas mask he found at the beach. Wanted to give this to Tamura, but didn't expect him to leave early as well with Himiko. Finding this opportunity perfect, Izuku started tinkering with the mask and medical supplies, making sure to sanitize it and wash it thoroughly. "Just wait, Himiko, I care for you too," Izuku muttered, getting to work. Sitting in an alleyway, Tamura smirked, seeing the little alley cat trying to be intimidating as she held him at knife point. "You wanted me to come here to talk to me, and now you're suddenly holding me at knife point? That's very rude, Himiko." Tamura playfully chastised, seeing the girl's eyes sharpen. "Me rude? What's rude is tricking an innocent boy into believing that he is friends with a killer and believing he levels up on FING apple juice." Himiko growled out, pressing the knife closer towards Tamura's neck. "Technically, I said wine." Tamura spoke up. "I don't care about the FNG drink, I care about Izuku and the snake that has him wrapped around his fingers." Toga hissed towards him. "Oh, you do care about me." Tamura chuckled as Toga kicked him in the legs. "Oh, you beach." Tamura hissed, glaring at the girl. "I should just kill you and hide the body, but then Izuku will be worried sick about you and I can't have him snooping around for life." Himiko sighed, lowering the knife, still glaring at him. Same here, and he has us partied up and can see our health bars when we enter combat or lose health. Tamura explained, seeing Izuku's quirk a huge problem for both of them to continue their assassinations. Great, just what I needed to add on to my problems of getting rid of you. How the F does Izuku's quirk work exactly, as apparently he is too pure to consider death as a source of EXP? Himiko asked, leaning against the wall. Well, took me a few nights to understand, as even I didn't know how he leveled up, but I learned quickly after my third kill. Tamura spoke, also getting comfortable as he retold his story. As a murderer should know. Himiko muttered out as Tamura wasn't affected by her words. After that, I tried it on a few animals like possums and rats, with no effect. The type of murder involves doesn't have to be just killing but verbal as well. Tamura brought up, making Himiko confused. What do you mean by verbal? Himiko asked curiously, even if she knew that Anzur might be horrible. Told a guy to shoot himself with his quirk before I make his death painful, and the idiot did it. I leveled up that time, and found it amazing that it calculated me as the source of his death even though I didn't touch him. Tamura explained as Himiko gasped in horror. Anything else I should know about the sick things you learned when experimenting with Izuku's quirk? Himiko asked furiously. Yeah, as the higher level a person is, the more EXP you get. Killed LV8 Beach, and that was the huge EXP boost you both had today. Tamura explained casually as Himiko trembled in rage. You are a monster. Himiko growled out. We established that, doesn't mean I can't have friends as well. Tamura shrugged, already knowing he was destined to be the symbol of destruction. How Izuku sees you as a good person I have no idea, because one look at you from when I walked into that cafe I was already suspicious of you. Himiko spoke out, examining why Izuku was friends with Tamura. Maybe it was because I saved his life from his attempted suicide, and helped him when everyone around treats him like trash. Tamura growled back, defending Deku and his trust in him. He is suicidal? Himiko asked in disbelief as tears welled up in her eyes. Yes, I rescued him when he jumped off that stupid roof and offered to be there for him when no one wasn't. Tamura explained, making the girl stare at him carefully. How much do you care for Izuku? Himiko asked in a serious tone. More than you, seeing as I'm actually helping him achieve his goal of being a hero. Tamura stated, making Himiko glare at the man for being rude. Sighing in defeat, Himiko raised her hand towards him and spoke bitterly. My name is Himiko Toga and I hate you. Friends? Tamura Shigaraki, and the feeling is mutual. A friend of Izuku's is a friend of mine. Tamura grinned as Toga shuddered when he mentioned her as a friend. Never speak of this, and don't tell Izuku. Himiko warned, walking away into the streets. Don't plan on it. Tamura muttered, calling Kurojiri as he was teleported towards the bar. He started smiling at recruiting the biggest ace up his sleeve yet. Have her wrapped around my fingers, and as long as Izuku is safe, then she will follow my lead, willingly or not. Packing up his invention inside his inventory, Izuku started making his way towards school. Looking at his level, he smiled at seeing another level up. Leveled up to LV9. He made sure to quickly put those stats into Vitality, and searched for a new skill as he was walking out the door. Maybe I should get Hawkeye from the Bow skill tree, and Resistance from the Survival skill tree. Izuku muttered to himself. Would you like to learn Hawkeye? This is a passive skill with no activation needed. You will have better sight when shooting or casting, with less chance to miss at longer distances. Cannot miss 15 meters away. This should be perfect, as Izuku now has a good casting distance of a bus, making him a perfect mid-range fighter. However, he still needed to work on longer range targets. Should probably adjust my map to 15 meters, that way I know my target is in my range. Moving on to his other skill he wanted, Izuku read it once again before adding it to his skills. I need this skill. Would you like to learn Resistance? This is a passive skill with no activation needed. You will have a 25% chance to be unaffected by status conditions. Affected status conditions: Ignite, Burn, Poison, Paralysis, Bleed, Blindness and Freeze. Izuku selected the skill and smiled at the possibility of some of these skills in effect. No food poisoning, sand in my eyes, or even bleed if I'm injured. Izuku muttered in awe at the usefulness. However, he really got that skill for two reasons, as the first was for Himiko and her ability for him to make him bleed and not cast. This way I have a chance for safety. The other reason was for the dread he was probably gonna experience as soon as he closed his menu and looked at the school. Kaken and his explosions. Himiko sat at the trash beach in silence as she glared at the text screen she was sending towards Tamura. Himiko Toga, what did you do? Tenko Shimura, alright, but you can't be mad at me. Himiko Toga, what did you do, sad face? Tenko Shimura, okay, first, I was minding my own business. Himiko Toga, bullshit. Tenko Shimura, I was. Himiko Toga, and exactly what happened while you were minding your own business. Tenko Shimura, so I was just chillaxing at the bar like a baller, and all of a sudden these rats kicked in the door. Tenko Shimura, one of them yelled out, get on the floor. Tenko Shimura, and I responded with, I played your mother last night. Himiko Toga, sad face. Tenko Shimura, they took exception to that, but you know how that song and dance goes, and I killed all but one of them? Himiko Toga, what happened to the last one? Tenko Shimura, pussed out like a beach. Himiko. Tenko Shimura, silver lining, I got a level up. Himiko Toga, I should have just killed you. Tenko Shimura, same here, but Izuku needs happiness, help, and levels. Himiko was about to type again until a health bar showed up at the corner of her eyes and started going down. Izuku Midoriya HP 699 700. Himiko was confused as Shigaraki said HP only showed up in combat. Wondering if he stubbed his toe or something, Himiko was about to text him when the HP went down drastically. Izuku Midoriya HP 654 700. The hell? What happened? Himiko muttered out in worry. Himiko Toga, Izuku, what happened? Tenko Shimura, you okay, Deku? Izuku Midoriya, I'm fine. However, he suddenly lost more HP by a horrifying amount until something happened that filled her with dread. Izuku Midoriya HP 6 2700, Ignite. Izuku Midoriya HP 495 700. He lost 205 HP and that made her feel sick as that was basically death for a normal person. They are trying to kill him. Himiko Toga, being fine. Get out of there. Tenko Shimura, where are you? Himiko Toga, Izuku. Tenko Shimura, answer us, Deku. Izuku Midoriya, I'm at school, I'm okay. They backed off. Himiko Toga, what happened? Izuku Midoriya, don't worry about it, I'll see you later. Tenko Shimura, if you are sure about it I won't bother, just give me coordinates and I'll have Kurogyri teleport you away if you need it. Himiko Toga, Kurogyri? Tenko Shimura, tell you later. Izuku Midoriya, thanks, I'll let you know. Himiko Toga, stay safe. Closing the party chat with sorrow, Himiko immediately started texting Shigaraki for answers. Himiko Toga, what the f was going on? Tenko Shimura, bullies and it looked like they were beating him up bad. Himiko Toga, what was Ignite? Tenko Shimura, a common status condition I see in games. Seems Deku must have caught fire and it took out 25% of his HP. Himiko Toga, they were trying to kill him. You seen the damage they did. Tenko Shimura, yes, if it was any other person with 100 HP, then they would be dead. Taking a deep breath, Himiko thought about what to do in this situation. A normal person would call a cop or hero, but she wasn't normal and was on the run. Thinking further, Izuku doesn't care about his safety that much if he is continuing to stay with those horrible bullies. Deciding on one thing to do, she texted Tamura again. Himiko Toga, how can I help Izuku? Limping towards the principal's office, Midoriya sighed in frustration at the situation he was in. However, he felt calmer and more mature now that he was being escorted for his punishment. It was just a normal day, but suddenly someone had the brilliant idea to start a rumor that he was saying he saved Kaken. One thing traveled to another and he was dragged outside during lunch. He could say he left something or rather someone behind that time. He doesn't know who, given this confrontation, but it could have been for better or worse. Flashback. Think you can brag about saving me, Deku? Bakugo growled out in fury. No, and besides I don't have anyone to brag to. Izuku answered honestly as he was stuck in a corner. So you admit you're looking down on me? Bakugo growled out as he started popping his quirk. No, I always saw you as my Eku dash. Before he could finish, a punch was sent his way and he didn't auto-dodge but felt a soft pinch. 3-1 DMG. I am nobody's equal, and you aren't even on my level. Bakugo roared out, rearing a fist back. Katsuki Bakugo LV0. 100 HP 100 MP. Ability, Explosion. Skills, none. You're right, Kaken, I'm not on your level. Izuku answered out, glaring at his friend. Die. Bakugo roared out, sending an explosive punch his way. Suddenly Izuku's side stepped out of reach very quickly for the other boys to perceive it as Izuku suddenly tripped the blonde as the bully tumbled to the ground. For sight, I'm levels above you. Getting back up, Bakugo glared at him with burning hatred as he spoke up. So the bug wants to challenge me? Guess I need to throw you in your place once on for all. I don't want to fight. Izuku spoke, looking behind him to find his two cronies blocking the exit. Rocketing towards him, Izuku dodged the knee sent his way but was caught by a sudden grasp as he was tossed towards the wall with intense strength. Slamming on both the wall and the ground, Izuku was surprised he wasn't knocked out, already given his past experience with this move. 45 DMG. Getting back up in pain, he saw Bakugo have wide eyes from surprise for a second until they hardened again. You're not down yet? That usually knocks you out, so have you been faking it this whole time? I've gotten stronger, Kaken, as I have real friends that support me and want me to be a hero. Izuku spoke up, noticing he was getting a text from his friends. Friends that care for me. Dude, have you seen Deku like this? A crony asked. Never, he must have finally lost it or he is serious? The other boy muttered out. Before they can delve deeper into their conversations, Bakugo glared at them to shut up and turned his attention back to his prey. Stronger? Friends? Support? Hero? Bakugo questioned. Every word he heard as he started sparking as he turned to full-on explosions with each word. You are nothing, and will always be nothing. Go die in hell. Bakugo suddenly blasted towards him with incredible speed and Izuku barely had time to dodge as the explosive boy blasted above him and yelled out. Perish! Suddenly he was in the center of a massive explosion that covered his whole body from head to toe that gave off intense heat. 34 DMG. Ah! Izuku yelled out in pain as he didn't notice a new status condition pop up. Ignite. Suddenly the pain became much worse as he bursted in flames again, but from the ground up as the gravel beneath him was scorching under him like a furnace. Okf. 125 DMG. As soon as the pain arrived it subsided, leaving a heavily burnt boy staring into the sky in exhaustion as another status conditions took over. Burn, unable to heal for 59 seconds. Looking in front of him he could see Bakugo and his two cronies staring at him in stunned silence as they didn't expect this to happen. Izuku glared at them as he stumbled forward and caught himself from falling on the ground. Looking at them one more time and the new teacher just showing up just in time to witness them all, Izuku spoke up. No one ever told me I could if I tried, for all my life. Now that someone has, I would carry their words with pride. Taking a step forward, Izuku stood tall as the burn marks started fading away as he glared at Bakugo with hatred in his eyes. You haven't seen the best of me yet, as I could do this all day. Izuku made it home earlier than usual as he had a slip saying he was partially expelled for threatening their prize student. I didn't threaten him, I challenge him. He hated it, he hated how he felt useless when they dangled his future like a doggy treat. He was not some mutt that was to be kicked around and play dead for their amusement. Luckily they didn't put it on his record, but they did tell his mother. Walking into his house, his mother stood right there glaring at him with furious eyes. Why did you start the fight against Katsuki? He didn't say anything as he couldn't tell her the truth. If he did, his mother and Auntie may never be friends again. Even then it was Kaken and the school's word above his. Answer me. She demanded furiously. Izuku refused to answer, as he couldn't bring himself to lie properly. He was shaking in stress and anxiety that he didn't know if he was on the verge of a panic attack. Deciding that she had enough silence, she grabbed her keys and purse and started walking towards the door. We are going to Mitsuki's and you are going to tell her and Katsuki sorry for starting that fight. But Mom, Izuku called out when she sent him a side glare that immediately made him shut up. No, but Izuku, you are supposed to be a good boy. I am not having any of this rebellion any longer, as you are going to make up with Katsuki, stop hanging out with that drag fiend, and be grateful for what I and everyone is doing to make sure you have a bright future. Inko ranted, making Izuku feel truly hurt by every word she spoke. Deciding to just follow along, Izuku stayed quiet and exited the apartment with his mother as he thought to himself. Bright future? I nearly killed myself. You want me to do what again? Himiko asked, unsure if she heard correctly. You said you don't want to be involved in murder, yet want to help Deku. So I'm hiring you as my spy and bodyguard for him. Tamura spoke sitting at the beach she told him to meet at. But, why and how? Himiko called out in questioning of how this was going. It is simple, so you see that character creation option that showed up on your menu? Or is it not there yet? Tamura asked, picking up a can and stuffing it in his inventory. Yeah, we got it. Izuku and I already made our characters and we have to be level 20 for another chance to make one. Himiko replied hesitantly about how this was going. Makes my job simpler then. I can have Kurogiri homeschool you, and you train at this beach along with Deku. Tamura replied, stuffing more junk into his inventory. Wait, school? Training? What am I preparing for? Himiko asked curiously, even though she didn't trust Tamura's plan all that well. The Yude entrance exam, you are to be Deku's best friend and bodyguard. Tamura smiled, opening his inventory and handing her a new item. It was a knife, and a well-crafted one, she guessed. Looking at it, she could see a round hole at the bottom of it, and it was double-edged, meaning she could cut with both sides. What is this? Himiko curiously asked, admiring the knife. It is a kunai, made for assassin and dagger classes. This is my gift from me to you if you accept this request for guarding Deku from villains and heroes alike. Tamura spoke, picking up more items to stuff into his inventory. You really are weird, and I was gonna protect him anyways. Himiko sighed, picking up the knife and testing its balance. Seems comfortable. Ninja's kunai, plus 11 agi, plus 2 dex. Then keep the knife, I'll make you a better one when I get better at making weapons. Either way, having Kurogiri watch over you will finally get him off my back, and let me work on my things. Tamura grunted as he was struggling to stuff an entire sink in his inventory. Your things? What will you be doing then? Himiko curiously asked, finding it amusing he was hoarding so much stuff in his inventory. Besides being the only party member for levels, I'm gathering many items to process so I can make a guild. Tamura spoke as he was scrolling in his inventory again, and sweating a lot. He is out of shape. What's special about a guild? Himiko asked curiously. That's what I want to find out. It could be anything, but either way, it would mean we don't have to party all the time and still keep in touch. Tamura sighed, now trying to stuff a fridge in the inventory. If that thing fits, I'm stuffing a whole blood bank in. That Quirk. All want to get away from me? Himiko chuckled, ignoring the glare sent her way. I wish, but I'm mainly curious. This Quirk is reminding me of so many games that I believe it will probably be scarily broken soon. Tamura spoke, making the girl pause her giggling in exchange for confusion. Come again? Himiko asked. I've seen many games in my life, and no matter what, LF there is leveling, then there is a set limit. However, we don't know what that limit is yet. Tamura grunted as he nearly stuffed the fridge in his inventory. It is probably a 100, correct? Himiko asked, unsure of where he was going with this. That may be true, but Deku is human, he is always growing. He may be limitless to the point where he has to die by age to stop leveling. Tamura explained, making the girl think about her friend deeper. This was true in video games, as levels always have a set limit. However, that never applied to the real world before. He could indeed have a limit, or he could not. Do we apply to that limit, or are we limitless too? Speaking of games in reality, We don't know if his quirk is processing life as a game. If it is, then that's dependable but still frightening when you think about it. Tamura spoke, making her curious about the quirk even more. And why is it frightening exactly? She asked the villain as he stared at her in amusement. It means the quirk is designed to handle PvP, and only Deku has the levels to win compared to every LV1 noob. Tamura explained, making her picture Izuku on par with heroes and villains alike at this early in his life. What if life is trying to process Izuku's quirk instead? She asked, wanting to see the other option. Then the quirk isn't really all that powerful, but should still be deadly if used in the wrong hands. Tamura shrugged as he tried stuffing the fridge again. Like you? How can you tell the difference? Himiko asked. I will test it sometime later, but the main difference is if the quirk does 200 DMG, then that person is dead, meaning my theory was right. Tamura spoke, opening the fridge as he sighed, staring at a beer can in the fridge. And if my suggestion was right? Himiko asked. Then the 200 DMG attack will hurt like a beach, but won't kill unless the person was weak enough to get killed. Tamura smiled as the fridge now fitted in the inventory now that there wasn't a beer can taking up precious slots. It actually fits. I'm robbing a blood bank. The walk towards Aunt Mitsuki's was painfully silent, making Izuku feel anxious about what was to come. His own mother refused to speak with him, and stayed focused, walking many paces ahead of him. Izuku's heart felt like it was constricting tighter with every step, and he didn't know what to do. I feel terrible having to hide secrets from auntie and uncle, and I don't want them to hate me for believing I started a fight with their son. He actually liked his godparents, as they were nice and loving just like mom, but they weren't overbearing and seemed understanding. Would they hate me now? Knock knock. Flinching from the sudden noise, Izuku stared in terror at where he was at. They were in front of a nice house, with a mailbox on the side of the door saying, "The Bakugos." Better behave yourself, Izuku, I want no more of this rebellion. His mother scolded as she fixed her hair. Izuku could only nod silently from guilt, as she had every right to boss him around, and believe this was a rebellion, as he made no attempts at confessing. The door suddenly opened gently as a middle-aged man with spiky brown hair, a mustache and squared glasses stood there to greet them. Hello Inko and Izuku, I am surprised to see you two here. Come on in. Thank you Mizura, and glad to see you again, it has been a while. Inko greeted, walking in and removing her shoes, with Izuku following her example. It has. Mitsuki was genuinely considering storming your apartment and demanding a girl's day off. Mizura chuckled as he led them towards the living room. Might take her up on that offer. Also, where is she? Inko asked, looking around for her friend. Getting dressed, she just finished her afternoon shower. Oh, how have you been, Izuku? Mizura asked, sitting down on the couch. I have dash. Before Izuku could answer, his mother interrupted him instead. He has been a handful lately, which is one of the reasons I came here for. Inko spoke, making Izuku feel bad, as she was basically speaking ill on his behalf. Oh, that doesn't sound like him. Want to tell me why? Mizura asked, staring at Izuku carefully, making Izuku's heart constrict further. Later, and is Katsuki also here? Is he okay? Inko asked worriedly, making Izuku feel terrible again, as he didn't expect Kaken to be injured, but he did trip him. He is fine, just in his room doing homework. Mizura explained when a sudden noise of footsteps entered the living room. Honey, who was at the door? A feminine voice spoke, walking in the living, and spotted them. The Midoriyas. I was genuinely surprised too. Mizura spoke, grinning happily at his wife. She looked exactly like Kaken, besides obviously being female, and had a soft smile on her face. Ainkyo! Mitsuki yelled out happily, tackling her friend in a hug. Glad to see you too, Mitsuki, and I swear you look younger. Inko chuckled, returning the hug. Ah, that's just because I took a shower. Mitsuki giggled, letting go of her friend and staring at Izuku with a smile on her face. He felt like he was drowning, and didn't know if he deserved that smile anymore. All he could do was give a wobbly smile and say, Hey auntie. Oh Izuku. You're so tall, and still have that baby face I remember. Mitsuki said happily, giving Izuku a motherly hug that felt nice. He doesn't remember getting a hug like that from his own mother in a long while. When was the last time Mom hugged me? Don't spoil him, Mitsuki, he is in trouble. Inko scolded, dampening the nice feeling he had for a moment. Trouble? What happened? Mitsuki asked, staring at him with a raised eyebrow. You haven't heard? The school called me saying Izuku started a fight with Katsuki and is being temporarily expelled for a few days. Inko explained, making Mitsuki go wide-eyed and stare at Izuku with questioning eyes. Is this true, Izuku? Mitsuki asked, staring at his eyes. All Izuku could do to keep from crying was look away and mutter. Yes, I started the fight. Why? Mitsuki asked, raising an eyebrow in question. He didn't want to lie to Auntie, but he didn't trust his words if he did speak. His heart was hurting, and he wanted to confess or run away. Because he is in the middle of a rebellious stage as he is hanging out with a druggie, being ungrateful for his stuff, and starting fights. Inko explained, making Izuku feel truly hurt as none of this was true. I see, and are you sure it isn't something else, Inko? Mitsuki asked, not taking her gaze off him. I'm sure, ever since he met that drag fiend Izuku has been doing stuff out of the ordinary. Could you bring Katsuki down here? I want Izuku to apologize to him. No friendship should ever be broken just because he wants to be in the cool kids group. I will not have my son be a criminal. Inko huffed, glaring away from Izuku, making the teen let go of a single tear. Mom, can't you see, you're hurting me? Mitsuki's eyes widened for a moment, spotting the tear, as she turned towards her husband and spoke up. Honey, can you get Katsuki over here? Also, can you show Inko that new design you were thinking of making her wear for a day? Sure, come on Inko, you won't believe what I made for you to try out. Maybe it could be for your girls' night with Mitsu. Mizura spoke, giving her a slight nod as he got off the couch. Oh, that would be wonderful. I was thinking about buying a new dress since this one is too tight. Inko agreed, happily following the man deeper in the house. Izuku felt his anxiety subside a little, but he wasn't fully comfortable since the second source of his problems was standing a few feet away from him. Should I sit down on the ku-dash? Before Izuku could finish, Mitsuki hugged him again one more time firmly as she started speaking. Calm down, sweetie, I'm not mad at you. Just breathe for a moment and focus on my voice. Mitsuki hummed, swaying Izuku softly as she petted his fluffy hair to comfort him. But why? I just told why dash. He didn't get to finish as she let go of her hug and knelt before him, placing a hand on his cheek so he wouldn't look away. I don't believe you, and I'm worried. Did something else happen? Mitsuki asked gently. No, I was just being stupid. I hurt Kaken and I'm rebelling like a child, just as Mom said. Izuku denied, trying to desperately close the gates to his heart. You know you could tell me anything, correct? Mitsuki asked, staring at him softly as worry spread across her face. This time Izuku refused to answer her, as he looked away in the other direction, not trying to let tears show. Sighing in defeat, Mitsuki got back up and hugged him again gently before speaking. I don't know what's going on, but I'm seriously worried about you, Izuku. Just promise me you will tell me later, okay? No promises. Izuku muttered, giving his own personal hug towards his aunt for making him feel slightly loved again. All right, and between you and me, Inko shouldn't have compared you to a criminal. Mitsuki hummed out, letting Izuku go, and made her way towards the kitchen. Why does everything hurt? Izuku thought, clenching a hand towards his heart. Black or green tea? Mitsuki asked, giving a small smile. Black tea, please. Izuku muttered out, making the woman nod happily before she was out of sight. Izuku felt many emotions, but decided to just sit down and have one thought on his mind. Auntie, I'm sorry, but if I ever told you, you will probably hate Kaken, and I could never bring myself to ruin a family. A tall man sighed happily in relief as he crawled out of a recently abandoned truck with blood on the seats. Looking around, he could see he was near what appeared to be a huge city in the distance. His current surroundings was a pretty suburban area with many places to hide and research his targets before he strikes. Is there a stupid warehouse around here? Or should I just kill another household and raid their fridge for a few days? The man muttered, using his quirk to push the truck in a small river. I know those heroes should be in a village around this stupid city, but don't want to draw attention to the wrong one. The man thought as he started walking away from the scene towards a hill to scout for a place. Okay, any place to crash for the week? The man muttered as he spotted a nice house in the distance with an old woman walking a dog. The man grinned as he started walking towards the house without a care for what he was about to do as he muttered, "Perfect." Drinking his tea in silence with his aunt across from him, Izuku was thankful she wasn't pressuring him for an answer. However, he knew this visit wasn't going to be easy as the difficulty part was about to show up any minute. How do I apologize to Kaken and make it believable in front of everyone? Just so you know, if you ever want to visit me you can. Me and Mizura have been wanting to see you but you never visit. Mitsuki spoke as she poured some more tea for herself. I'm sorry about that, auntie. Been training to get into you today and have to keep up with studies. Izuku explained as both of them were true, and his quirk was growing stronger thanks to his training. Still planning on being a hero, sweetie? Mitsuki asked politely. Sort of, as I want to at least try and get in, and if I don't then Gen Ed is fine. Izuku explained as he was only trying for the hero course for Shigaraki's sake. Having a backup plan is fine, but I say strive for your dreams, so I believe you will make a good hero, Izuku. Mitsuki spoke, as she drank her tea, unaware of the fact that she surprised the boy. You think I can be a hero? Izuku asked nervously. Yeah, why not? I believe both you and Katsuki will be good heroes, as that is what any supportive mother would say. Mitsuki explained as she settled her tea down. It was all too unbelievable for Izuku, as he never heard his auntie speak so highly of him before. Did I ever ask her if I could be a hero? Or was I just too scared of another family member rejecting me? Wanting to test one more thing, Izuku spoke up his final thoughts. Even if I don't have a flashy power and just fight quirkless? Yeah. You should see all the bar fights I won when I was younger, didn't even have a flashy quirk, and this speech still kicked butt against flashy perverts. Mitsuki grinned as Izuku didn't like the way she called herself a beach, but appreciated the support. Thanks, auntie, and I don't think you should call yourself that. Izuku muttered as his cheeks glowed red. Ah, you're sweet, Izuku. It makes me still don't believe you caused trouble, but I won't pressure you. Mitsuki cooed as they both heard footsteps coming down the stairs. Hey, I brung Katsuki like you ask, also Inko loved the dress. Mizura grinned as behind him followed both his mother and Kaken. Izuku gripped his tea firmer as they walked closer, and wondered if he would have a panic attack soon. That's great. Also, Katsuki, why didn't you tell me you and Izuku had a fight at school today? Mitsuki asked, cutting straight to business as she eyed both children. Because there was no need to worry, you told the principal to not tell you because you had work this morning. Kaken growled as he spoke softer than normal. Guess he doesn't want to be disrespectful in front of my mom. That may be true, but he could have sent me a message while I was at work. I'll talk to him next time if this situation pops up again. Mitsuki scoffed as she took another sip of her tea. Understood. Kaken growled as he glared at him, making Izuku wither from the gaze alone. However, this didn't go unnoticed by Mitsuki as she continued speaking. Why did you two boys fight anyway? You two should be best friends, correct? Izuku didn't want to speak the truth as they never were friends, and even if he did tell the truth, Mitsuki would probably hate Kaken or worse him. Nerd wanted to be a hero, and I told him he couldn't because he can't fight. Kaken admitted, making his mother shock. Katsuki, you don't decide that and dash. Before she could speak, Inko interrupted her. Mitsuki, let him speak, Izuku needs to hear this. Inko spoke sadly, making Izuku shocked by her answer. What? Mom, why? Izuku asked in disbelief. I never had the heart to tell you no, but Katsuki, I think you should be the one to tell Izuku about his chances of being a hero. Inko informed Kaken, much to Mitsuki and Mizura's shock. Inko, you can't be serious. This is Izuku's dream, and he dash. She didn't get to finish as Inko held up a hand and spoke her thoughts. I'm sure, Mitsuki, as Izuku isn't strong enough, and I would rather see him somewhere other than heroics as he isn't strong enough and has been a terrible influence lately with his new friend. Inko informed her, giving Katsuki room to speak as Izuku sat on the couch shocked by what he was listening to. Deku, you can't be a hero. You're just going to die and make Auntie be sad and alone. Kaken informed him, making Izuku feel his heartbeat rapidly in shock, or was that anger? There, now Izuku apologized to Katsuki and make up already. Inko spoke in an authoritative manner. Izuku didn't speak, as he was staring at his reflection in the tea, with his hair black and eyes dark. Izuku! Inko spoke again, raising her voice slightly. Inko let him be, you just told him he can't be a hero, he is in shock. Mitsuki explained softly, placing a hand on his shoulder. Just let him apologize and then I'll leave him be. Inko informed, still waiting for Izuku to respond. Izuku set the tea down slightly, and stared at Katsuki with apathetic eyes as he apologized, bowing down. I'm sorry, Kaken, I should have listened to you, and I understand if you need time to be my friend again. Katsuki glared at him with furious eyes as he spoke up. It should do, just take my advice next time. Try taking a swan dive off the roof and hope for a better quirk in your next life. Those were the words left unsaid, but both understood very well what he meant. I did, just have a problem with keeping people's advice. Alright, now that this was settled, I expect you to listen to Katsuki next time. There is a reason he is a top student at Aldra and going to you soon. Inko informed, making Izuku feel his heart no longer cared for the beat as he stared at his mother with apathy in his eyes. I can never be as loved as Kaken, can I? His heart felt hollow, as he didn't register his Katsuki walking away with his mother talking to Mizura. Mitsuki forced him to sit down, as she whispered in his ears. Do what you want, Izuku, I still believe in you making the best choices for yourself. Izuku didn't know why she was believing in him at all, but he accepted the words of encouragement with little care as he still didn't want to be rude to the only person that was nice to him besides Tamura and Himiko. Should I text them that I can't be a hero? Would they hate me for giving up so easily? Come on, Izuku, you are still grounded and I want you to clean the house when we get home. Inko informed as he followed closely. See you later, Inko. Also take care, Izuku. Mitsuki waved, giving him a soft smile as she looked at him with sad eyes. Hope to see you again, my boy. Mizura waved, also giving him a soft smile as Izuku waved back half-heartedly as he walked towards his house. Mom, how long am I grounded for? Izuku asked nervously as he wanted to see his friends again. A month, because you hurt Katsuki's feelings and were hanging out with druggies before the fight. I wanted to give you space for you to think about your actions, but I see you won't be able to think if you run off again. His mother scolded, as Izuku looked down at the ground in depression. This is my own grave I dug up, as I have to accept it because I made no attempts at telling the truth. Shigaraki. A blonde girl whined as she laid on the ground in exhaustion. What do you want now? We just robbed a blood bank. Shigaraki growled as he was sorting through his menu. Yes, but I want to see Izuku. Why hasn't he visited today? Himiko whined while drinking a pouch of blood. I don't know, maybe he is exhausted. You saw how much damage those guys did to him, so healing will take time. Shigaraki spoke, making her curious. Hey, that reminds me, what sort of skills are you investing into? I'm going for a dancing assassin type role with my skills combined. Himiko spoke, watching the villain pause for a second. You don't want to kill people, but you're going to be an assassin? Shigaraki asked, raising an eyebrow. Of course, while I won't kill anyone, I can make them bleed and apply status conditions on them, while my buffs make me and Izuku stronger. Himiko explained with a goofy smile on her face. What about me? Shigaraki asked, glaring at her. You can apply your own buffs. My friendship is always going to support Izuku. Himiko smirked, poking her tongue out at him. Very funny. As for me, well, since I'm already high level, I decided to go for 2 specific roles. Shigaraki shrugged as he processed more junk in his inventory. Oh, like? Himiko asked curiously. Healer, because you 2 idiots will need help sometime and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get involved sooner or later. Shigaraki smirked as Himiko glared at him playfully. Wow, real supportive friend, not believing that we can handle ourselves. Himiko mocked as Shigaraki chuckled. Besides that, and my blacksmith and alchemy skills, I want to focus on my tamer skills. Shigaraki spoke, closing his inventory. Tamer skills? Why the hell would you go for that? Himiko asked as she glared at him if he was planning something. It says I need to catch animals in an enchanted trap I must make, and bend them to my will. I can then enchant them with powers and abilities as they will be my loyal followers. Shigaraki explained with a happy smile on his face. So basically an animal with quirks that listens to you? Himiko asked curiously. Yes, imagine if I can turn a dog into a dire wolf with regeneration and it still behaves as a loyal dog. Shigaraki explained, making Himiko get the idea. Sounds cool, tame me a cat, I always wanted a cat. Himiko smiled, imagining a fur ball that she can sleep with so she won't feel lonely. Sure you don't want something like a tiger? Shigaraki asked, raising an eyebrow. Nope, I want my kitty. Himiko spoke with a proud smile on her face. Alright, just let me finish this guild thing first. Shigaraki grumbled as he stretched his arms and started cleaning again. How long will this take again? Himiko asked curiously. A few weeks or maybe a month perhaps, as we need a lot of materials for some goddamn reason to get a guild contract. Shigaraki spoke, about to stuff more things in his inventory. Need me to help sort items? Speed things up quickly? Himiko asked, finishing her blood pouch. Yes, I'll guide you on what materials we need. Shigaraki spoke as they both sorted through the trash beach together. Himiko felt almost at home as one crucial person was missing from this little group. Wish Izuku was with us, but maybe next time he can visit. 2 weeks later, and waking up again, Izuku saw a familiar text box and wondered what he should do next. Leveled up to LV10. What should I even do with these levels anymore if I am not becoming a hero? Izuku thought sadly, looking at his latest messages from Toga and Shigaraki. Himiko. Toga. Aizu, when can you get ungrounded again? Tenko Shimura. He has 2 weeks left, which is still stupid. Himiko. Toga. I know. It really reminds me of my folks. Tenko Shimura. Your folks? Himiko. Toga. Not important, but seriously, she has no right to tell you what to pursue and chain you to your room. Tenko Shimura. All because she thought you caused a fight and met someone shady. Himiko. Toga. To be honest, the later is kinda true, you do drink. Tenko Shimura. Shut it. Smiling at the sight, Izuku was glad his 2 friends haven't left him yet. He expected them to leave after a day or perhaps a week, but they stayed with him for a whole 2 weeks, texting him and trying to cheer him up. But it won't last forever, will it? I let both of them down with the choice of not being a hero thanks to Mom. Izuku thought sadly as he closed his menu, deciding not to add his stats or skills today as he had no need anymore. Looking at the clock, Izuku sighed in disappointment as he had to start walking to another hell now. Wonder who will gang up on me next? Ever since the incident at school with the news of his few days' expulsion, many students were excited to beat up the boy who challenged Katsuki for being a tough guy. This led to a game of parry and dodge with foresight all day, with the added effect of his HP healing making him survive the days as students kept piling on him. They treat me like a mini-boss now, and I don't know how to feel about it. Izuku thought, as they weren't doing much damage to him as much anymore. However, the pain was still there since he refused to fight back. Walking out the door, Izuku sighed in depression as he made his way to school. Getting on the train, Izuku watched the latest story on the news about the rising deaths in the city. Better tell Himiko and Shigaraki to be careful for the next few weeks. Achoo! Tamura sneezed as rubbed his nose with a sleeve. Someone must be thinking about me. Getting sick? Toga asked, sitting on the beach with a new pouch of blood. Maybe, I've been stuck gathering trash for 2 weeks. Tamura spoke, stuffing more items in his inventory to process into raw material. Hey, even if the guild feature Esikis, at least Izuku would be glad we helped him clean the beach slightly. Himiko reassured as she was applying new stats and skills in her menu. True, still as he was grounded for something as stupid as hanging out with friends. Shigaraki growled, scratching his neck again. Oh, you count me as a friend now? Himiko asked with a wicked smirk on her face. No, you're annoying and I would kill you if I could. Shigaraki spoke, looking away from her in an attempt to ignore her. Same here, UD-. Besides, who did you even kill today, Yusiko? Himiko scoffed with a small smile on her face, as she did enjoy the company despite the man in front of her being a murderer. Was contemplating the fact of, is it sexist to hit a woman or is it sexist to not hit a woman? The killer beach was dying either way, but that got me thinking if the line was blurry between that sheet. Shigaraki spoke, taking a sip of his gamer soda. Toga was in deep thought as she stared at him with disgusted confusion. Hey, don't give me that look, she killed too. Shigaraki spoke, pointing the bottle at her. Not that idiot, I'm just as confused as well. Toga waved off, not even bothered by the murder confession. Thinking for a moment, she spoke up again. I think it is sexist to not hit a woman, true gender equality, otherwise you are seeing her as a woman only. When in reality you're not supposed to hurt anyone. Same thing, I thought, that gets a huge weight off my chest. Tamura chuckled, getting back to scavenging. You still killed her though. Himiko brought up as she finished her pouch. Yeah, I can live with that. He shrugged, stuffing another tire in his inventory. Izuku Midoriya HP 695 700. Both of them froze for a moment as Izuku's HP showed up again. It kept happening during his school hours as the both pieced it together that the school was his personal hell. I wish Izuku was here, clearly his school hates him and isn't doing anything again. Himiko growled as she had to stay on the sidelines and watch as his HP ticked down again. Doesn't take a genius to figure out what happens at that place. I want him here too, in fact I want to personally kill everyone in that school. Tamura growled, disintegrating a mountain of trash in anger of seeing his friend hurt again. Why don't you? Himiko suddenly asked. Excuse me? Tamura asked in shock by the sudden question. Why don't you? Rules never stopped you before, and it's not like I'm going to spill the beans about what you do. Himiko spoke as she stood up and stretched with both of her arms in the air. You're totally fine with me killing a few students? Tamura asked, raising an eyebrow. No, I'm never fine with killing, but that doesn't stop you at all, and we both hate what's happening to Izuku. Himiko smiled, showing a single fang in a devious smirk. You know, maybe I will consider you a friend. Tamura spoke, walking away and leaving the trash beach. Where are you going? Himiko asked curiously. Turning back to Himiko, Tamura gave a gleeful smile as he spoke up again. Whatever the F I want. Smiling softly, Himiko gave the two-finger salute as she spoke up again. Don't do anything stupid, HNDJB. I won't, just need to teach a few kids a final lesson. His 4-week punishment was almost over, and Izuku wished he could go out again soon. However, that didn't seem possible with what the school news was saying recently. New students missing, what happened to them? It was another missing poster of a student, and Izuku was curious about what was happening throughout the school. Could a new villain be on the loose? Deciding to ignore the board, as he didn't really mind those students going missing, and thought of this as well-deserved karma. I don't want them dead, but I don't exactly care what happens to them. Walking out the building, Izuku kept an eye on his mini-map as he made his way through alleys and streets, avoiding any pursuers today. That didn't last long as he instantly saw 8 dots trying to cut him off, and cursed his luck as he was so close to the station. Have to get by quickly. Climbing the trash and onto the tall brick fence, Izuku started sneaking as he was trying not to get found. Please don't look up. Seeing 8 kids walk down the alleyway was an intimidating scene, but Izuku could tell something was up with a new figure amongst the familiar group. He looks like a high school student. Mitro Levirium LV2. 100 HP 100 MP. Ability, Nitro Bile. Skills, none. Izuku was so engrossed in the new figure's quirk, he didn't notice one of the other lackeys spotting him. There he is. Get him, big bro. The other lackey yelled out, making Izuku curse at himself for not moving. Jumping down, Izuku was about to flee from the alleyway, when foresight activated as he instantly dodged a glob of liquid nitrogen as it froze a potted plant instantly. Are they trying to kill me? He turned around to spot all of them stalking towards him as Mitro spoke up instantly. Is this the guy that you say is trying to be a tough guy to you all? Yes. He is rude and needs to be taught a lesson for hurting my arm. The younger brother, Pyro, growled, glaring at him with his lies. You hurt your arm punching me. There's no use running, Midoriya, just accept the beating. A lackey taunted with a devious smirk on his face. I would rather take my chance of running. Izuku waved as he tried making a mad dash between the bullies. However, that proved to be the wrong move as Pyro spitted out a baseball-sized fireball his direction that struck him down. -8 DMG. Nice shot, bro. The older brother praised as Izuku was being lifted up and pinned in the air by the lackeys. You shouldn't have run, Midoriya, this will just be extra painful for you. Pyro growled, kneeling in front of him. What do you wish for me to teach this punk? Mitro growled as nitrogen seeped from his mouth. How about that new special move you were talking about at the apartment? Pyro suggested in a sadistic grin. Alright, let go of him. Don't want to freeze and break your arms. The older teen grinned as all the lackeys let go of him and stayed out of the way. Midoriya could only think of one way out, as instead of running, Izuku charged at the teen. Flash freeze. The teen shouted as he spewed out a wave of liquid nitrogen. I can't dodge it. Izuku thought as he was about to be engulfed in the teen's quirk. Force. Instantly disappearing, Izuku appeared above the teens as he was surprised by the instant dodge, but grinned as he saw an opening. Stretching his leg out, Izuku kicked Mitro in the face as he rolled away to weaken his fall. I did it. Izuku cheered, but that was soon to be a mistake as he felt the air around him freeze. You're gonna die for that, punk. The teen growled as clouded mist was spewing from his mouth. Run. Izuku thought in panic as he ran away as fast as he could. Get back here. The lackeys yelled and soon all 8 of them were giving chase. Jumping into a public street, Izuku continued his run in the shape of a jog to draw less suspicion. Hopefully the public eye will calm them down. Looking back carefully, Izuku paled because while the grunts were stopping their pursuit, the teen was knocking civilians over to reach him. He's dead. Sheet. Izuku cursed out, running towards the train station. My train doesn't get here for another 15 minutes. I have to jump on a random train. Izuku thought, pushing past pedestrians and getting on the closest train possible. Nearing the station, Izuku stared in shock as there was a hero who could have helped him, but was flirting with a group of women. The hero stared at the commotion for a moment, and decided to ignore him as he continued talking. I need help. Feeling a cold temperature again, Izuku turned around as the teen was drawing closer. Midoriya. Crap. Izuku cursed again, rushing ahead, and jumping between the open doors of a random train. Don't run away, punk. Mitro growled, about to power up a quirk. Close already. Izuku thought when suddenly the doors closed and the train started moving. Yes. Izuku cheered, ignoring the stares sent his direction. Looking around, Izuku checked the map and train number as he muttered to himself. Where am I going? The water hose agency. I think I found the village they were located at. The man grinned, checking the map again. It was a medium modern village with few to none heroes patrolling. It was peaceful, quiet, and happy all around with bright faces everywhere. It's disgusting. Looking around, he could spot no signs of a hero and saw a train station near the edge of the village. Walking around the village, he was getting tired of searching for the stupid heroes and had a brilliant idea. If I start killing civilians, will the heroes come for me instead? Excuse me, sir? Are you all right? A woman asked in an attempt at helping him. Disgusting. The man said, glaring at the woman. Excuse me? The woman asked, backing away from the man in an intimidated voice. I said, I hate you disgusting do-gooders. The man roared, grabbing the woman and choking her out. Ag! The woman choked as he had enough of her struggling and snapped her neck. Villain! A random witness screamed, making him grin towards the citizens watching. Yes, I am a villain. I'm muscular. Now show me your blood. Getting off the train, Izuku sighed as he had to wait another half-hour for his next ride back to the city. Deciding he had time to kill, Izuku made his way towards the nearest restaurant and grabbed a bite to eat while thinking about his encounter. I was gonna get hurt, and a hero ignored me. He knew all heroes weren't perfect, but it was supposed to be common knowledge to help someone in need. If it wasn't for the train, then he would have been severely injured or even dead. He wanted to keep talking to those ladies instead of helping me. Arriving at a small kids' burger joint called McDonald's, Izuku walked in despite it being a partial ripoff, only to spot not many people at all around. "Hello, what can I do for you today?" A man at the counter waved. "Oh, I'm just waiting for my next train, so I'll have just a burger and a small drink." Izuku replied, going up to pay for his meal. "All right, sir, I'll be out with your food in a bit." The man replied, as Izuku chose to sit near the kids section. Expecting the section to be vacant because of school hours, Izuku didn't expect there to be a kid in the area, but there was one. He wore a bright red cap with horns, with black hair and with matching black eyes. The kid looked up from his game console and waved shyly. "Hello." "Oh, hello, and sorry to disturb, I thought this spot was empty." Izuku apologized, about to leave for disturbing the kid. "It's fine, but if you want an empty spot, then there is a porch outside with an umbrella for shade." The kid shrugged, returning his attention towards his handheld console. "Thanks." Izuku waved happily, making his way towards the outside tables. "He is your order, sir." The man smiled, placing his meal on the table. "Thank you and dash." Suddenly a large car was thrown their way, barely missing the restaurant. "What was that?" the man asked in disbelief. "Villain." A few pedestrians screamed, running away. "A villain?" the man asked in shock. Soon enough, more cars were thrown, barely missing civilians, as a muscular man charged forward into sight, swinging wildly at two heroes dodging the swings. The first was a black-haired hero, producing water torrents from his hand as he blasted the villain with intense firepower. The second hero was female with brown hair, using said water to continue attacking with hydrokinesis as she made random shapes such as a blade or chains to subdue the villain. "Water hose," Izuku admired in awe. "Oh no, Koda's parents should make sure he doesn't see this." The man panicked, rushing back into the restaurant and into the kids section. "So that is the kid's parents?" Izuku muttered, watching the fight. Not every day you see the water hose duo fight. The fight was tough, with both sides giving it their all, as Izuku watched from a distance so as to not interfere with their takedown. They seemed like they got it handled. "Sir, come inside at least if you're gonna watch the fight," the man from the restaurant ordered, making Izuku nod as it was safer to be inside. About to walk in the door, Izuku suddenly went rigid as one of the dots on the minimap for people suddenly disappeared. Turning around, Izuku paled as the female water hose was suddenly impaled by crashing into a metal spike from a damaged vehicle. "No!" her husband screamed, rushing towards her side as he held her hand. With the hero too distracted by his wife dying, he didn't notice the villain about to punch him. "Die!" the villain screamed, bringing his hand down. Without even thinking, Izuku's body suddenly moved on its own as he jumped in front of the incoming blow that sent him staggering back a few feet. "1 DMG. What? Who the hell are you?" the villain asked, surprised by a random kid jumping in his way. "Sir, I need you to get her out of here. I'll buy you some time to get her help," Izuku called out towards the hero. "But the water hose tried to call out, but Izuku suddenly raised his voice. "Move it," Izuku ordered, charging forward to distract the villain. "Don't get hit." "I'm sorry," the hero cried as he picked up his wife and started running away. "Damn it, why did you interrupt my kill, kid?" the villain asked, swinging at Midoriya as he ducked. "I'm not letting two parents die," Midoriya replied, sliding between his legs and going in his inventory. "Where did you go, you brat?" the villain called out, turning around as he suddenly noticed a blade coming for his arm. Dodging back, the villain glared at Midoriya as he wielded a katana meters away from him. "You're not going to kill anyone else," Izuku called out towards the villain. "Bold words coming from a brat, and that toy won't do shit to me," the villain declared, stomping forward. Izuku took the time to analyze his opponent's level, health, and name. Go to Imasuji LV36. 64 100 HP 100 MP. Ability: Muscle Augmentation. Skills: None. He is a bit hurt by the water hose attacks on him. I just need a way to do more damage so he can hopefully surrender. Izuku thought, taking steps back with the blade still in front of him. I thought you wanted to fight, little hero. Are you scared already? The villain grinned as he buffed up his arms. Why are you killing people? Izuku asked, taking more steps back. Why the f do you care? The villain charged, suddenly as Midoriya tried to dodge but couldn't escape in time. Foresight. However, his ability kicked in as he was suddenly behind the villain with a clear opening. Did it teleport me behind the villain? No worry about that later. Slashing forward, Izuku aimed for the legs to hopefully immobilize or at least slow down the villain. 100 HP. However, his strike literally did nothing as the villain only lost 1 horsepower. I'm fed. The villain noticed something hit his leg as he turned around swiftly and backhanded Midoriya and his katana. Minus 634 DMG. Crashing into the store where he ordered his food, Izuku screamed out as that much pain was unbearable. AF. Pushing through the pain and checking his arms, Izuku winced as they both appeared to be broken, as his leg and lower spine were snapped from what he could feel too. These injuries should be fatal, but why am I not dead yet? Looking at his HP, Izuku suddenly knew why, as he hated and loved his quirk at the same time. You just won't let me die. 700 HP. That single blow was powerful enough to nearly kill him. His strength nearly matches All Might. So you're still alive, you little sheet. A familiar voice called out, as Izuku turned his head forward to spot the muscular villain stalking forward towards him. Cough, I wish cough I wasn't. Izuku coughed out, as the pain was still unbearable. Why the f aren't you bleeding? I wanted to see you splatter across the street. The villain growled, towering over him. Izuku couldn't bring himself to speak, as pain was overriding his body now. I at least bought the hero some time to probably save his wife. Closing his eyes, Izuku waited for the villain to stomp on him, until a new familiar voice spoke up. Don't kill him. A young voice shouted as Izuku opened his eyes in panic as he saw water get sprayed on the villain. More water. The villain growled, turning around as Izuku followed his gaze and paled. Koda, what are you doing? The owner cried out, lowering the boy's hands that were soaked with water. I'm getting real tired of water today, kid, and, wait a minute? The villain paused, squinting at the kid. Izuku tried to get up, but was unable to as his body was still mangled, as his katana was also broken from the blow he took. I can't help, I'm useless. You're the water hose kid, aren't you? Oh, this is just perfect. If what this brat said was true, then those weak heroes are your parents. The villain grinned, turning towards a paled Izuku. I put Koda in danger. Why did you kill my mama? The kid yelled out as tears formed in his eyes. Whoa, don't take it personal, kid. I just wanted to kill them, that's all, as they wanted to stop me. It's just that simple. The villain shrugged, walking over. Don't come near him. The owner yelled, pointing a broom at the villain. Fuff. The villain growled out as he backhanded the owner through a wall, effectively killing him. Izuku, with all his willpower, lifted his mangled hand at the villain's back and tried to cast a spell. If I die, then so be it. I'm not letting him kill an entire family. The kid stumbled back in fear, as the villain drew closer with his hand out. Sit. Still, brat, I just need you as bait for your dear daddy. He is in my range, so I can't miss at all. I can do this, I can save Koda. Izuku thought as he suddenly screamed out a spell that will change his life forever. 700 HP. Dark shot. 2 HP. Opening his dreary eyes, Midoriya stared at the large text screen as his eyes widened in shock. Leveled up to LV18. How did I level up so much? Izuku thought as he tried to get up, but found he couldn't move much. What? Looking at his arms, Midoriya found both his arms cuffed to the side of a medical bed. Why am I handcuffed to the bed? Midoriya thought as his heart now started to race. Hearing the door open, Izuku saw a nurse peeking in as she stared at him skeptically before speaking. You're finally awake. What's going on? Midoriya asked worriedly. Let me call someone in, wait right there. The nurse spoke as she exited the room, leaving him confused and scared. Think Midoriya, what did you do to get yourself in this situation? Midoriya thought as he tilted his hands a bit so he swiped in the air. Opening his messages, Izuku saw he was bombarded with messages. Himiko Toga, Izuku, what happened? Tenko Shimura, Deku, send me your location now. Himiko Toga, you better text now or I'm killing you. Tenko Shimura, Deku, you're at 2 HP, you're gonna die. Himiko Toga, you're healing now, that means you're okay, right? Please answer me. Tenko, he is probably unconscious, he may not text for a while. Himiko Toga, alright, please text us when you wake up. Tenko Shimura, you're fully healed, that means you should be awake now, right? Himiko Toga, please answer us, I need to know you are awake and I haven't slept yet. Tenko Shimura, Himiko, the news. Himiko Toga, oh my god, Izuku, are you okay? Tenko Shimura, shut up, let me explain. Himiko Toga, but he could be awake and not texting us? Tenko Shimura, that's his choice, but let me make him an offer. Himiko Toga, finest? Izuku, I'm sorry, but please accept as we don't want to lose you. Tenko Shimura, look, when you wake up or have time, or whatever you're doing, I will tell you what the news is saying. Tenko Shimura, A-class villain muscular after killing the water hose hero wife is now dead by D-class villain Izuku Midoriya for using a quirk without a license. Himiko Toga, that's bullshit, he was just defending himself. Even the father and kid he was helping said so on the news. Tenko Shimura, doesn't matter, he used a quirk and killed someone, so he must be taken away. Himiko Toga, I know just why him. He just wants to help and he gets called a villain. Tenko Shimura, let my type. Himiko Toga, sorry. Tenko Shimura, look, when you eventually read these texts, text us for a chat, okay? Tenko Shimura, also here, press this in case if emergency. System, invite to guild. Closing the text box, Midoriya took a shaky deep breath and stared at the ceiling as tears welled up in his eyes. I'm a murderer. With the realization of what happened finally hitting him, Midoriya let out silent tears as he tried his best to ball himself up, but was forced open to the world as all he could do was close his eyes for a sense of empathetic darkness he found comfort in. Why, just why do things always happen to me? Midoriya thought as he openly cried out. Opening his eyes in surprise, Midoriya stared at the entrance of the room as the one person he didn't want to see right now came in. That made his heart stop momentarily. Izuku. Inko with a small frown replied as she walked into the room. Mom, what are you doing here? Midoriya asked hesitantly as he stared at her with his gut twisting in anxiety. I am here to talk to you. Inko sighed as she took a seat across from Midoriya. What about? Izuku asked nervously. Me having to live with the fact that my own son decided to throw his FNG life away for whatever reason and be a villain. Inko explained as Midoriya was reluctantly paying attention even though he wanted to sink behind the covers. I didn't want to, Mom, as I was just trying my best t-. Midoriya tried muttering out. Trying your best? Inko growled out loud, making Midoriya recoil in fear. You have proven time and time again to be a problem, Izuku, and Lord knows I tried my best to raise you right, but you just don't listen and keep causing me problems, Izuku. Inko ranted out with Midoriya staying quiet to not draw in more anger. I have worked many hard days and nights for years as you keep on being a burden on my life. Inko hissed as Midoriya was now shedding tears again as he hated hearing all this. I am sorry. Midoriya replied softly in hopes to convey his sincere apology. Sorry? Sorry doesn't fix anything, Izuku, as where is the money for supporting you and your irritating hobbies all these years that you were so ungrateful for? Inko started, now getting off her chair as Midoriya's heart clenched. Think an apology will get you out of jail because you continue wanting to be a criminal? Inko growled as Midoriya shook his head as his heart rate increased. Where is the man you killed and that hero's life you ended plus all those innocent people hurt by you playing hero? Inko continued arguing as his heart started to beat faster, constricting more and more. Beat. Will an apology bring back Hisashi to me because of you not showing a quirk sooner? Inko yelled out as she glared at Midoriya, who stared at her with wide eyes in shock. Answer me now, Izuku. Inko growled as she now towered over him. Dad, see? Izuku started muttering as low as possible with Inko growing agitated. For once in your life, speak the F up, Izuku. Inko growled out as she glared at Midoriya. What she didn't expect was for Midoriya to glare back and say, I said Dad can go himself, as why should I care about a man that left because of something I can't control? Slap -5 HP. Now feeling a wet stinging sensation on his left eye, as he was suddenly staring out the window, Midoriya turned back. In shock as his one eye focused on his mom glaring at him angrily with her hand raised with a few drops of blood on her nails. Status bleed, unable to cast 58 seconds. Don't you ever yell at me or talk crap about your father again, or else I won't hesitate to hit you again. Inko growled out as Midoriya was still stunned by the action that his mom hit him. Looking at the map in hopes it wasn't true, Izuku saw that a now red dot displayed on his HUD, as he confirmed it was true. She actually did hurt me. We both did so much for you and I gave you as much love as I could give, and what did you do? Spit in our faces and throw your life away for what? Inko asked as Midoriya contemplated what it was for. Why did I throw away my life? Suddenly 2 text messages showed up, as 2 familiar names showed up that made his heart lighter. Tenko Shimura, Himiko Toga. Answer me now, Izuku. Inko demanded. After what felt like a few tense seconds in pure silence, Izuku took a deep breath and answered. I threw away my life because I seriously hate everything about my life, as I am never gonna be enough. No matter how hard or sincere I try, I will always be the bad guy. Well, guess what? You all made me this way, and when I finally find happiness after years, I am being dragged back as I'm not allowed to have a happy life. Well, if you as I have the right to be angry too for wanting a life. Izuku called out with sheer anger in his voice, as he decided to not hold back. Why, you ungrateful brat? Why can't you be as good as Katsuki? Inko growled as she started hitting and clawing him as Izuku closed his eyes and took the pain. Kaken will always be better than me in the end. -4 DMG, -5 DMG, -2 DMG, -6 DMG. What? Inko yelled out as Izuku opened his eyes to the nurse from before. Sorry, it's just we don't allow yelling in the hospital, and heroes and police are on their way to come retrieve Midoriya. The nurse spoke as she closed the door, leaving them alone. Taking a deep breath, Inko turned towards Izuku as she spoke. Since you hate your life so much, rot in prison for all I care and don't ever come back home if you get out. Without another word, Inko stormed off as Izuku stared at where she left as he felt alone and betrayed by his only family left. Guess I was never a Midoriya. After having what felt like his entire world falling apart, Midoriya took another deep breath and opened his text box with his cuffed hands and saw Tamura and Himiko's text again. Himiko Toga, Izuku, are you awake or no, because you're getting hurt again? Tenko Shimura, if you're awake, press the goddamn invite. Himiko Toga, press it please. Tenko Shimura, press it. Looking at the door that was about to open, Midoriya stared at chat and muttered to himself. I want to create my own life. Opening the door, Tsukachi took a deep breath and was prepared to interrogate Midoriya in hopes to give him a lighter sentence thanks to a favor from Yagi. However, what he saw shocked him, as he saw an empty bed and unopened cuffs dangling on the rails. Sheet, where did Midoriya go? Tsukachi panicked, checking the cabinets and closets. Not seeing a sign of anyone, Tsukachi cummed Officer Sansa as he ordered out. The suspect is missing, need all available officers and heroes in search of now runaway Izuku Midoriya.